they'll want to revisit. They need investment, they need new players, they need to bolster the squad. And that's not because the players that they've got right now at this club are not good enough. It's that they need to, if they want to kick on, they've got to upgrade the squad, they've got to expand the squad. It isn't big enough as a squad at this moment. And if they want to go on and try and challenge regularly to be in the top four, then they've got to have more resources. Because when we watched them last year in the Champions League, I think they did really well. They were unlucky not to go through. The issue was that they couldn't maintain a Premier League campaign at the same time because of the injuries.
Yeah. Okay, so plenty, I would say, for Newcastle fans to be excited about, certainly over the last few years with the new investment and certainly with the game we have for you today. Really looking forward to this one. It is Newcastle taking on Arsenal. You remember how fiery this one was last season. So much that came from that game, but it did end in a 1-0 victory for Newcastle. So Arsenal will be on their toes. Both teams really, really need a victory today. This is Game Day exclusive on TalkSport with Sky Sports. Don't forget you can stream the biggest Premier League games available with no contract on now. You can that's including, I would say, Wolves against Crystal Palace. That's live today. You can search Now Sports. We are, of course, here at St James's Park. Newcastle against Arsenal. Kickoff is next, everyone.
Game Day exclusive on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day.
I'm coming in hot. Get more spice in your life with the McSpicy at McDonald's. With 100% chicken breast in a spicy, crispy coating. The McSpicy is coming in hot. Oh, yeah. I feel like it's kicking in now. Served after 11 a.m.
Football is back and it's game on. Get the ultimate football coverage with the Sun's free pull-out goals. With the best writers pitchside for in-depth match reports, it's all about goals. And with unrivaled news from the Premier League to League Two, it has to be goals. Stay up to date on all the latest football action. Get your free copy of Goals every Saturday, Sunday and Monday, only in the Sun.
Screwfix Sprint delivers from store to door in 60 minutes or less. So, whatever the job, you can do it with less faffing and more fixing. Less driving, more drilling. So don't break your stride. Screwfix Sprint. Order now exclusively on a Screwfix app. £5 delivery charge, no minimum spend. Don't stop. Sprint. Conditions and geographical restrictions apply. Selected products.
You don't just check in to a village hotel. You work out. You jump in. You play on. You tuck in. And drink up. Village Hotels. 33 locations with everything under one roof. A huge gym with pool and great membership opportunities. And a buzzing pub and grill with delicious food, ice-cold beers and live sport. Check out villagehotels.com and work out, stay, meet and play.
Settle down for a night of crime. Witness a heist. Follow a car chase. Eat too much popcorn. Meet a mafia boss. Join in on a bank robbery. Think about making a cup of tea. Be too comfortable to get up. For less.
Selected IKEA sofas are now at a new lower price, along with thousands of other products. IKEA, the wonderful everyday.
At Betfair, we're about finding different ways to play. Like with our 90-minute guarantee. We've all been there. The clock ticks over into 90 minutes, and then a speculative cross into the box ricochets off a knee and goes in, ruining your bet. But with Betfair's 90-minute guarantee, if your bet is winning at 90 minutes or full time, we pay out. Betfair. Play different.
Applies to match odds 90 market or markets with the 90 icon. Sportsbook exclusive. Terms and conditions apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
We all fantasize about our perfect home. Sipping a morning coffee out on the terrace. Good morning, Mr. Squirrel.
Morning.
The kids building a treehouse in the garden.
I'm living my perfect childhood.
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of April 2024 and 30th of June 2024 was under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
Game Day exclusive on TalkSport with Sky Sports. Stream the biggest Premier League games, available with no contract on now. Like Wolves versus Crystal Palace live today. 18+. Stream via internet. Terms apply. TalkSport Traffic and Travel with Heat Pumps by My Dear. 10-year warranty, 3 years free servicing, and newly improved R290 pricing. My Dear, there is no substitute.
In Cheshire, delays building up on the northbound side of the M6 just after junction 18 for Middlewich. There's a broken down vehicle blocking the inside lane. In the West Midlands, the M42 remains closed both ways for the weekend works between junction 6 for Birmingham Airport and junction 8 for the M6 link. It's particularly busy northbound approaching the closure. In Worcestershire, it's very busy on the M5 approaching the closure both ways between junction 8 for the M50 and junction 9 for Tewkesbury for the ongoing police investigation. And in Hampshire, on the M27 westbound between junctions 9 and 8 are broken down cars blocking a lane. I'm Michael Page.
Oi, exclusive FA Cup first round Sunday afternoon football, alright?
That is huge.
Sutton United versus Birmingham. Kick off 12:30 on the other brother from the same mother. TalkSport 2.
What a winner!
Gotcha.
Of a match. Well, Arsenal drop points at home against Brighton.
I don't think Arsenal have been as fluid, and it might be because of the injuries and Ødegaard's absence in particular, but I don't think they've been as good as they were last season.
I mean, Arsenal probably have dropped too many points now.
And Manchester City have snatched a point right at the end of the game.
That's a big point. That's a really good point. And Man City know that that's huge for them as well.
You want to be first, you want to win every game. We know the situation that we have to play with this season.
All in all, it's been a nightmare night for Arteta. It finishes Bournemouth 2, 10-man Arsenal 0.
It's not over yet, but you drop points in this league, you know that City are there to pounce.
We know who the real winners are. Manchester City. Arsenal 2, Liverpool 2.
Yeah, Arsenal now 5 points behind Manchester City in the Premier League table. They're of course going for the title, but they've got a big competition in Manchester City and Liverpool. If you are an Arsenal fan, Stuart Pearce, which I know you're not, but if you were, would you be worried?
No, because I think there's a general upscaling in what Arteta's done at the football club, the playing squad, the investment that they put in. I think all things are pointing in the right direction for Arsenal. That will be my personal opinion, but I'm not invested as that supporter. I just see it from a footballing aspect, and I think they're on the up, Arsenal Football Club.
They're on the up, but their recent past has not been so great. They lost at Bournemouth, of course, they drew at Liverpool. They've had no clean sheet since the North London derby in September, and like injuries has played a part, suspensions have played a part as well, and no Ødegaard has also played a part in that. But at what point are they able, do you think, to then kickstart their season, given that Gabriel and Saliba are both at the back today, and I think that has been sort of the linchpin of their title charge, hasn't it? It's been their defence.
Resh, the answer to your question is, when do they initiate a resurgence? The answer is in about 5 minutes. Every time you take the pitch, you've got the opportunity to put a statement down, get 3 points, close the gap between you and whatever's above you, and listen, it wouldn't surprise if they come here today and win, would it really? You know, they're favourites to win the game. If they do, they're back in touching distance again, and that's the fragility of the Premier League.
And if they don't win today, that puts them, say if they lose today and Manchester City win, they could be 8 points behind the leaders. Where does that then leave them? Because the points count for every single game. You cannot afford to drop points when it's so tight at the top.
I totally agree. If that's it, if they're going to win the league, if Arsenal finish in the top 4, get Champions League again this year, you turn round and let's say, for instance, they end up winning one of the cups that are coming up, or a European Cup, I would say it's a very good season for Arsenal.
And mentally, the side, you would have to say they've learned the lessons from the past, haven't they? The fragility that they've shown in recent seasons, that soft underbelly, do you think that has sort of stood them in better stead to be able to overcome the complications and the stumbling blocks that they're seeing now?
I do, both from a managerial and coaching perspective, but also from the players' perspective as well. And the bulk of the points they've dropped this season have been when they've lost players and had players sent off. You know, so don't lose track of that either. Teams can knock them over or take points off them, when they go down to 10 men. That should be a lesson for Arsenal, but also a lesson to suggest they're not as bad as suggestion has it, that they're not in the title race.
Very quickly, do they win today?
I've gone for 2-2. I can't call this one. I would air them as slight favourites, but I'm going for a 2-2.
2-2, you're going for a draw, so not a defeat for the Toon Army, because until recently home was where the heart was for Newcastle. They'd won 11 here at St James's Park before Brighton came to town a couple of weeks ago, but incidentally they have proven to be a thorn in the side for Arsenal of late. 2 wins in their last 3 here in the Premier League against them, including of course that tumultuous, infamous affair last season. As for Arsenal, where injuries have bitten for them, the road has been a little bit bumpy in recent weeks. 8 successive wins, followed by drop points in 4 of their last 7 in the league, and that back line looking much less imperious than it did last season. Well, 3 points in the proverbial bag is exactly what the doctor would order for both sides today. We're expecting a fiery and feisty affair. The atmosphere is already building up here at St James's Park. Wait for the noise. The teams are standing out in front of us now as they line up for our 12:30 kickoff. It is Newcastle against Arsenal, live and exclusive in the Premier League.
Welcome to the northeast of England. This is St James's Park in Newcastle on what promises to be an explosive weekend of sport across Talk Sport and the Talk Network. This is Sam Matterface on the halfway line, 7 rows back from the front of the main stand, the Milburn stand, a behemoth of a structure that goes skywards with 3 tiers of glass and wraps around the Leazes end behind the goal. To our left, where Arsenal fans are right up high in the gods. The other half of the ground, the East Stand and the Gallowgate to our right, smaller in stature, giving this splendid stadium a lopsided look on a grizzly grey day. But the atmosphere is pretty uniform, always full of burning ambition when Newcastle hosts the very best, and a sense that it's about to go off when they play Arsenal. Remember, the 4th of November. That was the date last year where Anthony Gordon provided the spark, followed by a burst of controversy as Newcastle fizzed and banged and dented Arsenal's title ambitions. In fact, the Gunners have failed to detonate properly in 3 of their past 5 Premier League encounters with Newcastle, and because of their recent form, they know they need to handle the heat here. Their title charge needs to reignite. Eddie Howe's men will be hoping to set off some fireworks of their own. They start the weekend in the bottom half of the table and will need to be at their explosive best to break down the Arsenal defence and avoid equalling their longest winless run under their manager. The pressure is on and the fuse is about to be lit. Newcastle include Isaac and Gordon, 2 players who were injury doubts. Arsenal welcome back Saliba, who was suspended for their last Premier League match, and Gabriel has passed a fitness test. Both teams had League Cup wins in midweek. Both teams looking to bounce back from recent disappointments in the Premier League. Our referee today is John Brooks, and he's just switching the 2 sets of players over. Arsenal won the toss, and they will get the black and white shirts of Newcastle to shoot towards the Gallowgate in this first half. Now, this is the closest home fixture to Remembrance Sunday for Newcastle, and before we start, the players, staff and supporters of Newcastle and Arsenal will be honouring servicemen and women, past and present. They're representatives from the British Army, the Navy and the RAF. Petty Officer David McConnell from HMS Calliope and Corporal Greg Hamilton of RAF Bulmer will lay a wreath in the centre circle ahead of a silence throughout St James's Park, and a bugler will play the last post,
which will end with the referee's whistle.
mosaic of a poppy populates the east stand opposite us. The names of those fallen on huge banners being held aloft by volunteers at the front of that stand too. Straight after our St James's Park display, TalkSport and the Talk Network put on another show from the Vitality with Bournemouth against Manchester City. Once more blazing a trail at the top of the table. So grab your toffee apples, wrap up warm, settle in for what promises to be a bonfire weekend spectacular. We've got all the action, all the drama, all the goals right here on TalkSport. Well, we paid more than a pretty penny for this guy. Former England captain and ex-Manchester City and Nottingham Forest manager Stuart Pearce is with me. A crucial game for both, but what are you expecting?
Well, I'm expecting goals, definitely. I think there's enough at the front end of both teams. Good to see Isaac back again in the ranks. So definitely goals. And I've got to touch on, before we get going, that was an immaculate, from both sets of fans, that minute's silence. Quite incredible.
Indeed. Very well respected. Newcastle United in black and white striped jerseys with black shorts and black socks, attacking the goal away to our right in the first half. Not their preference. They like to shoot downhill towards the Gallagate in the second usually, but it will be reversed for them today. And Arsenal in red-bodied shirts with white sleeves and white shorts, red socks, attacking the end. Their supporters are in the Leeds' end away to our left. They have the ball on the halfway line. It's picked up by Trossard, who finds Bukayo Saka, the England international, over on the right-hand side. Cuts in, finds Havertz, looks for the return, and Dan Burn, the big, gangly 6'7" defender, stretches back and manages to clear his lines, but only as far as Urian Timber, and then back to the left it goes, and Marino round the back to Timber, flicks it through into the penalty area. Havertz tries to set it back for Declan Rice. He does get it back to Partey, right side on the edge of the area. Saka picks it up again, takes on Joel Linton. Fast start from Arsenal here at St James's Park. Back with Arsenal once again. Saka, Rice, and then Partey stretching the play out to the wide right, and then his languid ball infield towards Bukayo Saka is cut out by Joe Linton, and Newcastle will clear.
Yeah, just looking at Newcastle's approach to pressing when Arsenal had it in deep areas, they've near enough gone man for man and followed their man wherever, even if it interchanged their formation. And I think it'll be important that Arsenal try to pull them around a little bit to break the ranks of Newcastle.
Already Joe Linton and Joe Willock have switched and moved positions, and it's Joe Willock who's bursting down that left-hand side. I'll go through the 2-11s in just a second, but there's another turnover in the centre circle, and Arsenal have got it back, and they go on the hunt down towards the edge of the penalty area. Trossard doesn't catch his shot well, and he drags it wide of the left-hand post, and it's out of play away to our left-hand side and out for a goal kick. So Newcastle United with Nick Pope in goal, Tino Livramento at right back, Fabian Schär, the Swiss international, and Dan Burn at the heart of their defence. Lewis Hall, the young Englishman, at left back. Longstaff, Bruno Guimaraes and Joel Linton in midfield, with Gordon, Isaac and Willock as the furthest forward. And as I mentioned earlier, Willock and Joel Linton, depending on the scenario that faces them, will interchange those positions. If you looked at the average positions those two players occupied during the game against Chelsea, Willock were much further forward. For Arsenal, David Raya, the Spanish international goalkeeper, is between the sticks. The right back is Partey, Saliba back from suspension, Gabriel is fit again, and the left back is Urian Timber. Marino and Rice holding in midfield, Trossard behind, Kai Havertz, the German international, Martinelli and Saka wide on the flanks. John Brooks, our referee, has just given a free kick for a foul over on the far side, and we're back underway. We played just a little over 3 minutes on TalkSport and the Talk Network. Here is Longstaff sending the ball out towards this near touchline, looking for Livramento. Takes a little deflection and goes out for a throw midway inside the Newcastle United half. The noise absolutely deafening, as it always is inside this stadium. And what is it like as a player when you're playing inside this stadium in front of this crowd and they're behind you? Do they give you extra wind in your sails?
I'd been at Nottingham Forest for 12 years when I come here, and I remember it like it was yesterday. My first game, Sheffield Wednesday at home, first game of the season, and it was deafening. I've never heard noise like it, whether it been in an international shirt or a club shirt. It was incredible, and when this place gets rocking, you know about it.
0-0. Raya under pressure as the ball goes back to him from the Arsenal defence. He lofts it high into the grey, grisly sky. It's headed forward by Dan Burn, taken down by Joel Linton, and then shepherded back to his own goalkeeper by the Newcastle fullback Lewis Hall, wide over on the left-hand side, about an inch or so in from the touchline. He gets it again, gives it to the Brazilian Bruno Guimaraes, who funnels it forward to the halfway line. Joel Linton links the play well, then Longstaff sends it wide, and Willett goes on the scamper, and Bruno Guimaraes joins. He tries to get a cross into the box, but it's blocked by Gabriel. It bounces behind for the first corner of the game, and it's a Newcastle corner.
Yeah, really good play there. Declan Rice was dragged out the centre of midfield, going with his man, and as both teams are, following their men around, certainly Newcastle. But what it does do, if you can break that press and free space up by dragging your player away from where he wants to be, you get openings like we've just seen, Sam.
Corner kick far side to be taken by Anthony Gordon. Burn in the centre. At the back post, Isaac. Joe Linton trying to make space. It goes in towards the near post. Shea didn't get there, but Havertz managed to head it away. It's one back by Lewis Hall, far side. Collected now by Gordon, who tries to push it into the path of Lewis Hall. And there's a foul by Willock on Saka, and it's going to be a free kick just in from the touchline. Arsenal led twice against Liverpool last week, but couldn't hold on to their lead. Newcastle fought back from a goal down at Chelsea, but succumbed to Cole Palmer's brilliance in the end. But Newcastle, despite the downturn in form, are better at this fortress, and they proved that in midweek when they managed to knock Chelsea out of the Carabao Cup. And this is the team that did that. They've started with the same team today. And actually, they started the season with some iffy performances, but good results, Newcastle, and then a run of bad results that hasn't really matched their more promising performances. Raya taking his time, overtaking a free kick, which has still not taken place, Stuart Pearce.
No, he's taken a while to set his team up, and then, as often is the case, the target being Havertz.
Long ball up towards him. It bounces for Marino, who was here back in 2017, a year under Rafa Benitez, but he volleys the ball well wide of the goal away to our left, and that setup didn't really lead to anything for Arsenal, whose form has dipped too. The Gunners have dropped points in 4 of their last 7 Premier League matches. Prior to that, they had won 8 successive games. 6 minutes 20 seconds gone. And a goal kick away to our left, which is going to be taken by Nick Pope. He's going to send that upfield right through the middle of the pitch, looking for Alexander Isak, the Swede, tall and slender, and has spent time in Spain and Germany on his career so far. He's still only 24 years of age, is Alexander Isak, and he is a player who has certainly added to the quality levels in this Newcastle squad since being signed from Real Sociedad. Trossard under pressure from Longstaff, and then Longstaff commits a foul. It's going to be a free kick just short of the halfway line.
Yeah, he's Longstaff claiming he didn't catch him. I think he did, and I think the referee made a good decision there. It's interesting to see these early stages of games. You can almost, it's a direct mirror of what they've probably worked on this week. You can see both teams, how they come out, how they tactically line up. I find it intriguing.
Gabriel tries to elevate the ball over the top of the Newcastle defence. The header from there's a poor header from Shea that's come straight to Marino, edge of the area, after Trossard just sort of provided the nuisance factor. Comes back out to Trossard, left side of the area, tries to cross it. Livramento blocks it, clears, but only as far as Timber. They're getting penned in here. Here's Trossard down the left. Across comes a slide tackle from Longstaff. It goes out behind into the Leeds' end, and it's going to be a corner for the away side. Arsenal 0-0 the score. TalkSport and the TalkSport network. 8 minutes gone now, and there's just a moment there where Dan Burn sort of headed the ball back across the face of his own goal, and then Shea could get no distance on the resulting header, and that just invited pressure.
Well, I think what happens this day and age, defenders are expected not to clear balls, but to keep it alive and play a short pass, even in danger zones, even with your head on the edge of the box, and it's obviously cost his team a corner respectively.
It might be ill-advised on that occasion. Here is the corner. Declan Rice to take it. They're loaded at the back post here, Arsenal. And then they sprint towards the near post. And that creates a gap for Gabriel. Tries to get on the end of it. It's fisted away by Pope, and now a chance to try and counter-attack, and Gabriel dragged down his compatriot Bruno Guimaraes and stopped a breakaway by Newcastle United. Now they do get the ball long, up to Isak with Arsenal not quite set, and Isak takes it down beautifully and turns tight to the touchline, far side, tries to feed Willock but overhits his pass, and Rice is back to cover inside the penalty area, and Arsenal tidy up and bring the ball away. But Newcastle obviously spotted that from their set piece that they were defending, they could very quickly try and break on Arsenal.
Yeah, they certainly can, and another intriguing point from that as well. Trossard come right out to join Declan Rice for a short one, and Newcastle said, well, we know you're going to put the ball in the box, we're not sending anybody out, and just left it with them.
Here is Marino for the away side in the red shirts, going away to our left with the big, thick white bits down the side and the arms all white as well. White shorts attacking the goal to our left. Here's Saka taking on Lewis Hall, far touchline, cuts infield, midway inside the Newcastle half. Arsenal on the ascendancy here, looking for Saka to try and get around the back of Lewis Hall. Does well, defended that well, Lewis Hall, just stopped him, then managed to get the ball down to the byline, cleared it out for a throw-in over on the far side. Interestingly, I was talking to someone earlier on today about Lewis Hall and about England's dearth of left-backs, and what, you know, the sort of question is, why wouldn't you call him up if you haven't got anybody else?
Well, if he's good enough for his place in Newcastle's side, that probably tells you he'd probably be good enough for a place in the international squad, that is for sure. But he's got to play regularly here, and it's good to see a young man like himself.
Well, he has played
into the team
in all 12 games this season, yep. Lewis Hall. And I think England have got to take a gamble on a young left-back, an unproven left-back, on the basis that there isn't anybody that qualifies experience-wise further up the food chain.
I don't think I'd call that a gamble even.
Here is Timber taking the ball down high inside opposition territory and turning away from his first man, plays it on to Saka inside the box. He gets it onto his left foot, drags the ball goalwards. It goes narrowly wide of the left hand upright and out for a goal kick. But to Jurrien Timber, who's playing as the left back, wandered into a really advanced position into the top of the, sort of almost into the number 9 position there, from the ball played forward, did well to hold off the first challenge and then fed Saka brilliantly, and it was an excellent bit of movement from the Dutchman.
Yeah, and that come from the fact we mentioned earlier about Newcastle going man for man with their players all over the pitch. Both centre-halves went with their respective players, they went into midfield, and Timber identified that and just roared into the space that was left. But that's what you've got to do, move your players around to create space for somebody else.
Willock onto Isak now, who gets into the penalty area, and across comes Saliba and does brilliantly to nudge the ball away to safety. Interestingly about that, Gordon turned around to Eddie Howe and said, when he goes in there, Jurrien Timber, do you want me to go with him? And Howe went, no.
Well, put it this way, he did go earlier in the game. I saw Gordon track Timber back when Timber went, but Timber didn't make that run, which was dynamic, straight through the middle and arrive at centre forward.
Willock into Isak, Longstaff, 10 yards back from the edge of the area, out to Gordon, right wing cross, into Isak, brilliant header, up high, and powers it beyond David Raya, and Newcastle United lead, and Alexander Isak, who scored against Chelsea twice last week, has now scored against Arsenal, who are on the back foot at St James's Park. First firework has been lit by Newcastle. It's Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0.
Well, I've just seen an absolute textbook training ground crossing and shooting session, or crossing and finishing session, should I say. Brilliantly played, diagonal ball into Isak. It was headed down. Isak didn't get first contact, but when it arrived out wide to Gordon, he just feathered the ball in the box, a little bit of curl away from the goalkeeper. It's a magnificent cross. We don't see that anymore with these inverted wingers, but that was absolutely ideal. Gordon playing on his right hand side, on his favoured right foot. The cross was sumptuous, the finish with his head, Isak, even better.
What has happened to this Arsenal defence? Their success in recent years has been built on clean sheets, but the injuries and suspensions certainly have bitten, and that has meant a lack of rhythm at the back. The Gunners now 6 games without a Premier League clean sheet. They've now conceded 10 goals in their last 5 games and 13 minutes. And they had conceded just 9 goals in 20 Premier League games before that. Isak delighted. Great header, great cross into the box. But will the Arsenal defence be disappointed, Stuart Pearce?
Yeah, they're going to have to be. The ball's arrived. It was a brilliant cross, make no mistake about that. But he's between the goal post, centre of the goal, unmarked. Someone's got to get a little bit tighter to him. I think maybe they were unexpected. They didn't expect Gordon to whip it in first time, potentially.
Stoke 1, Derby 0. Stoke, without a win in 4, have taken the lead in the Championship. 3 games in the Championship today. Oxford, Swansea and Blackburn versus Sheffield United also taking place at 12:30 this lunchtime. Free kick far side to be sent in by Declan Rice. About to swing the ball to the back post as Arsenal look for an immediate response to going behind to Newcastle United, who took 10 points from a possible 12 in their opening 4 Premier League games, but have picked up just 2 points from 15 in their 5 games since. Here is Martinelli on halfway, sending it forward, looking for Trossard. Byrne, the centre half, just comes out to the edge of the D and nods the ball into the path of his partner Cher, who does well to invert the ball back into midfield. 12 in their opening 4 Premier League games, move it, but have picked up just 2 points from 15 in their pretty happy about the fact they're leading by a goal to nil. The crowd in here certainly happy about that goal. So here is Martinelli on Gordon's delivery, was sending it forward, looking for Trossard. Side. Byrne, the centre half, just comes out to the edge of the D, and he played on the right against the path of his partner Chelsea Cher midweek. He does well to invert the ball back into midfield, cross into the 12 in their opening 4 Premier League games.
I think if you're a centre forward, you're absolutely delighted that the likes of Gordon is playing on the right side with the right foot that he's got. The fact he's going to put the ball in first time. If he was playing on the opposite side, he'd have took a few touches, tried to come inside, no cross comes into the box.
Ryan playing out from the back, plays it to Saliba, who's crunched by Joel Linton. Arsenal will feel this is a fixture they have to get through if they want to win the title. They can't afford to drop too many more points, lose today, and the gap to City at the top of the table looks more like a chasm, really, especially at this stage of the season. And Arsenal have been housing the All Blacks at their training ground this week. Mikel Arteta has a good relationship with the All Blacks head coach Stuart Robertson. They're in action today against England. They're in a WhatsApp group of elite leaders. I know you've been involved in sort of like sharing ideas across different sports as when you were in charge of the under-21s, and it's a useful tool, isn't it? But I tell you what, they need some inspiration to get to grips with this game.
Yeah, they certainly do. I don't know how the scrummaging on Arsenal's training grounds left it this week, though.
Yes, I wouldn't want to be the head groundsman at London Colney.
I bet you he didn't
trying to
rub his hands when that news arrived.
Jurrien Timber up over the halfway line. Feeds the ball out to Martinelli. Martinelli back in field to Jurrien Timber. Timber looks up. There's lots of black and white shirts behind the ball, and it comes backwards rather than forwards into Gabriel. Gabriel, who's about 10 yards in front of the centre circle, finds Jurrien Timber and once again looks to build from the back. Arsenal behind at Newcastle United. Manchester City and Liverpool playing at 3 o'clock this afternoon. We've got live commentary of that Manchester City game away at Bournemouth on the Talk Sport network and Talk throughout the course of the afternoon. Rice forward, Partey takes it on.
Just looking at overloads in certain areas of the pitch, and he's on it now. Havertz pulling away from that centre forward position, out on the right hand side with Saka, and this game's going to be all about that. Where can we get the overloads? Where can we move the opposition around, make it uncomfortable for them and get overloads or free space?
Into the box down the left side, tries to chip the ball towards the far post. Saka up with a header and heads it goalwards, and it's wide of the left hand upright. Well, it's a good opportunity that actually, and it's the second time he's threatened the goal away to our left. Saka in the opening few minutes of the game. We've only played 18 minutes, and it was a good cross that by Havertz, and he did well to get up above Lewis Hall.
Yeah, it was an outstanding cross from Havertz. As I say, he generated himself on the right hand side where he was with Saka, come straight across the box, got on the ball in and around the 6-yard box and just dinked one up to the far post.
Sheffield United can go second with a win in the Championship this lunchtime. Blackburn 0, Sheffield United 1, the latest score. You're listening to Newcastle United 1, Arsenal 0 on Talk Sport and the Talk Network. with Sky Sports. Don't forget you can stream the biggest Premier League games available with no contract on now, like Wolves versus Crystal Palace later. Search now Sport. Cross into the box. Gabriel Martinelli tries to deliver it towards Leandro Trossard. It's dealt with by the Newcastle defence. Shuffled down upon this near side. Takes a deflection. It's away for a Newcastle throw deep inside their right back area. Promising performances. Arteta would have been sitting there thinking, Gabriel's come through Lewis Hall, tussling with issues. Saliba is back from suspension. When those two don't play, we don't keep clean sheets. So, we'll be fine today. Well, Newcastle have exposed them already. Throw in to be taken by Livramento, who now himself is taking his time over the throw in. Into Isaac, back to Livramento, hoisted into the air and up and under that goes to halfway. Put back into the Newcastle half by Saliba, and then Jurrien Timber tries to keep it away from harm's way, but hooked back on by Anthony Gordon towards Willock and Isaac, but it's dealt with by Marino and then eventually picked up on halfway by Bruno Guimaraes, and Newcastle have possession again. You're listening to Talk Sport. Here is Lewis Hall tussling with Saka. Saka almost nabbed it from him. Bruno Guimaraes comes across to help out his left fullback, and then it goes all the way back to the halfway line. The pressure is on from Arsenal. They're really hunting impacts, and if Newcastle can beat this, they'll have a man over on this near side, and that's what happened. And here is Livramento feeding Anthony Gordon again, who runs at Jurrien Timber, gets to the right edge of the area, delicious cross to the far post this time, and Joel Linton just can't reach it, bounces through the 6-yard box and goes out the other side. Or did it go out? It hit the corner flag, and he's now kept it in. And still Newcastle come forward. Everyone gave up. They thought the ball had gone out. It hadn't. Here is Bruno Guimaraes, dead centre of the Arsenal half. Newcastle now on the attack. They've got Isaac and Longstaff, edge of the area. Guimaraes into Willock, who's just dropped
25
deep.
yards out from goal. Guimaraes
almost everybody behind the ball here as Newcastle come
to his left, and to his right, it's Longstaff.
Cuts onto his right foot, the cross takes a deflection.
Played back
towards Timber. And then it comes back out the chair, who can hit them from this range and is encouraged to do so by the
half now is Tino Livramento
supporters. He was 25 yards from goal, but declined the invitation, and then Newcastle just retain possession, keep the ball ticking over and keep the pressure on the Arsenal defence.
Yeah, the ball's out wide on the left there. The only criticism I would have of Gordon, he kept his width on the right. For me, if it looks as though it's going to be crossed from the opposite side, get in a position where you think you can score with the header is a great rule of thumb for any young player.
And the ball's gone from right side to left again, and it just evaded Bukayo Saka. It was collected by Joel Linton. Willock infield. Now on to Bruno Guimaraes. He will nudge it to Longstaff. Longstaff onto Gordon. Again, they've kept possession really well here, Newcastle. Back to Gordon once more. He stops the ball in the half position between the right side of midfielder and the inside forward. He goes back into Guimaraes, who looks up or stops the ball, takes it away from Trossard, then strikes it. Oh, a little touch from Willock, and if he'd just got a little bit more on that, he might have deflected it past a stranded Raya.
Well, Guimaraes done brilliantly there. A little pull back, drag back, beat his man. I think it was a shot. It was probably too firm for a pass, and it just squirmed away from Willock. I think he's trying to control it, actually.
Foul on Havertz on the far touchline, which has given Arsenal a free kick. They need to find a way back into this game. We're nearly halfway through the first half, and Arsenal behind Newcastle, and there's a rather angry looking Spaniard on the near touchline down in front of us in a dark puffer jacket today. Mikel Arteta. Mikel Merino, his midfielder, is trying to trundle down the left touchline. He's drawn a foul from Fabian Schär, and Schär looks rather surprised that the decision from John Brooks has gone against him. It's going to be an Arsenal free kick wide on the left, and this is territory from which Nicolas Joubert, the set-piece coach, usually constructs something innovative and dangerous for the opposition.
Well, they certainly got physical presence, Arsenal, there's no doubt about that, and with Declan Rice's delivery, they should be a threat. They'll be relying on people like Dan Burn and Nick Pope to police the box.
Newcastle have the height. Can they deal with the delivery? Declan Rice is about to put it into the box. Gabriel, who's usually the set-piece finisher, is at the far post. He's got 4 around him as well. He started his movement towards the near area now. It goes, well, it's a poor delivery by Declan Rice. It's straight into the first man, who's Anthony Gordon, who held on to it well, then sent it down the touchline, up towards Willock. The ball goes out of play. It's got to be a Newcastle throw on this near side. Mikel Arteta can't believe it. It's thrown away by Jurrien Timber. Does that count as delaying the restart? Well, certainly that's what the Newcastle fans are whistling for.
I think he's thrown it back to where the place that the throw-in was going to be played, so I think he's done his job right.
Longstaff, back to Bruno Guimaraes, centre of midfield, up to Willock, turns, sweeps the ball immediately over the top of the Arsenal defence, and darting forward into the right position is Gordon. Gordon facing up Timber, going on the outside, getting to the byline, crosses to the box, it goes to the far post, took a deflection and just sizzled through that 6-yard area, past Joel Linton, and goes out for a corner.
I tell you what, I miss not having left-footed players on the left and right on the right on occasion, because we've just seen A, for the goal, and secondly, once again, a winger running at a fullback, going on the outside and whipping the ball across the face of goal. And unfortunate, a deflection's just taken it for a corner. Bit heavier a deflection, that nestles in the back of the net. Ah, the good old days.
Wistfully remembering your time as a Premier League legend.
I can hear Shearer up in the hospitality boxes thinking, oh, I'm glad I'm retired. I could have played in this game though.
Gordon in towards the near post, looking for Dan Burn from the corner kick. It comes back out and Shearer keeps it alive, and then Raya has to come charging out of his goal to grab it inside the 6-yard box. Burn almost got there, and then as he tries to escape to the edge of the area, Isak is stopping him. And Andy Howe talked about this in the press conference yesterday, you know, trying to do everything possible to disrupt the opponent within the parameters of the law. And certainly they've done that so far. 1-0 to Newcastle, 25 minutes gone. Listening to TalkSport and the Talk Network. Here is Thomas Partey moving up towards the edge of the Newcastle penalty area for Arsenal. On the attack on the right with Saka. Saka plays it against Hall. It bounces towards the far side. Back it goes to Partey again. Now it's with Rice, wide on the right side. He tries to face up Lewis Hall, gets to the byline, low cross towards the far post, and Shearer is there to stab it behind and out for another corner. What an entertaining game we've got.
Oh, it's swinging from end to end. It's a fantastic game. Both teams extremely well coached, putting everything they've worked on the training pitch in front of us on display, and some really good play and good attacking play. And that, on that occasion, it was Saka taking the outside route, across the face of goal, and share brilliant interception.
Terrific.
Safety.
Absolutely terrific. But it's still 1-0 to Newcastle United, and Arsenal, who know that their position in the table doesn't look as pretty as maybe they would have been hoping at this stage of the season, need to find a way to reverse the situation. Well, Declan Rice has been told that he hasn't got the ball overhanging the quadrant, so he's got to reposition it. John Brooks, very officious there, and we'll have a delay before he takes the corner. Set piece is usually a magic wand for Arsenal. The ball drifted towards the far post. He was blocked off Pope. It's dropped in the 6-yard box. It's cleared off the line as it's stabbed towards goal. I think it was by Gabriel. Marino was in there too, but there was a big block on the line by the Newcastle defence. Back it comes from Declan Rice. Edge of the area is Trossard. Just delayed it. Didn't get his shot away, and Gordon pinched his pocket and managed to clear out on this near side. What a chance for Arsenal. And set pieces, of course, so many problems, and they almost did again.
Well, brilliant. Far post it was. Pope got blocked in, basically. He ended up outside the goal, behind the goal near enough. Gabriel kept it alive, and Newcastle defenders, just to a man, managed to get a block.
Yeah, it was Marino who got the eventual shot, but it was in a thick of players, and there were 4 of them on the line. I think it was Lewis Hall who blocked it eventually, but it was just about desire to deny Arsenal an equaliser.
Yeah, it was, and they done extremely well blocking Nick Pope in. He's come to claim the cross and just got caught in so much traffic, he literally ended up beyond the far post, behind the goal.
Well, Arsenal have scored 5 goals already from dead ball situations, and they almost got another one there. Bruno Guimaraes escaped from Jurrien Timber, who pulled his shirt almost off his back there. There was so much tugging going on that he stretched the shirt, so much so that the black number on the back of Bruno Guimaraes' shirt almost faded to white it was stretched to its very limits. Now, if that's not a yellow card, I don't know what is. That is breaking a promising attack. I don't understand how it's not.
No, should be a yellow card, really. The referee's decided to give a bit of tolerance. Chances are the next most innocuous challenge will be booked, and the Newcastle fans will be up in arms if it's one of their players.
Well, they have a free kick themselves now, Newcastle United, and despite their prowess in the other box, actually Arsenal have got the worst record of conceding from set pieces in the Premier League this season. Floated towards the far post, good strong header into the air by Thomas Partey, but it's won by Willock, far side. His recycled cross almost reaches Gordon, away by Havertz, and then Trossard now can pick it up and try and bring it clear, but he's being chased and harassed by Anthony Gordon, so much so that he felt the hot breath of the former Evertonian down the back of his neck, that he ran the ball straight out of play.
Yeah, brilliant play by Gordon, tracked him back, helped his fullback out, Livramento, brilliantly. If you're left one-on-one with a lot of acreage behind you, you're always worried as a fullback.
1-0, Newcastle in front thanks to Alexander Isak. Yet another goal for him, scored against Chelsea both home and away last week, and he scored against Arsenal here today. Here is Willock, back to Guimaraes, who's robbed by Havertz, and then it's clipped by Trossard into Saka's path. He didn't quite hold on to that very well and miscontrolled it. It was hooked away. It wasn't the best of balls really to him in the first place, and it was cleared away by the Newcastle defence. And Lewis Hall just getting back in front of Havertz to get it to Nick Pope, and I don't know exactly what Nick Pope is trying to do there, but he rifled the ball out at great speed to the far touchline. It went straight out of play. I think he's been watching too many rockets at firework displays.
He's trying to cut across the ball, put some curl on it to keep it in play, but if you're not great with your feet, I would advise don't take a touch, scalp it into play. At least you can readdress and defend that.
Well, Newcastle will be thankful for Alexander Isak's recovery. He is their point man. He averages a Premier League goal every 133 minutes for Newcastle. He's now got 12 goals in his last 12 league appearances at St James's Park. On the score sheet today, Anthony Gordon, brilliant assist. He's never assisted a goal against Arsenal before in the 10 matches he's played against them, but he's come up with an excellent one so far in this match. Here is Trossard, near side the left for Arsenal as they look to try and get back on terms. Out wide it goes to Martinelli. Martinelli tries to get to the touchline. It's nudged behind by Livramento, and it's going to be another corner kick for Arsenal.
I'll tell you what will win you the game eventually. We're half hour into the game. Newcastle, recovery runs by Gordon twice now to help his back man out. Bruno getting back into his box and cutting out across. Joe Linton doing exactly the same, recovery run to help out, and little things like that mount up as time goes on. It might not win you the game, but I tell you what, if you don't do it, it damn right will lose you the game.
What about a cracking start to this match? 31 minutes gone. There's certainly a lot of commitment and endeavour out there from the Newcastle United players at this juncture. Here is the corner from the near side to be taken by Declan Rice. Left arm in the air. A lot of movement inside the box. It's aimed towards the far post. Marino coming round that far post. Martinelli was there too. Martinelli's collided with the ball and the man, and the ball spilt behind and away for a goal kick away to our left-hand side.
Yeah, I think he's headed it. They've worked it really well. Took the goalkeeper out of the equation, went to the far post. He's headed it back, and I think he's headed it onto his own player.
Currently Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0. The latest odds available from Betfair, the official betting partner of Talk Sports Premier League coverage, where right now you can get Newcastle to win at 5-4. The draw is available at 9-4, and Arsenal to come back and win the game is 11-5. That's all thanks to Betfair, who are paying out on winning bets at 90 minutes with 90-minute guarantee. Terms and conditions apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org. This is TalkSport on the Talk Network, where later on today Manchester City's trip to Bournemouth will follow us from the Vitality Stadium. Our round the ground service with Adrian Durham as well over on TalkSport 2 from 1 o'clock. In fact, right now they're underway. You can listen to live one-day international cricket between the West Indies and England. Sunday session comes from Old Trafford. Not much has happened there this week, has it? Adrian Durham is behind the mic tomorrow for that one. 2 live games back-to-back from the FA Cup and the Championship on TalkSport 2 tomorrow. Get the app. There's an array of entertainment. TalkSport, TalkSport 2, Talk, Virgin and Times Radio. Problem here for Arsenal. And there was a foul away to our left-hand side. And Martinelli is trying to plead the innocence
throw-in.
It was a throw-in on this near side, but I think it hit the back of Martinelli, and the referee just wanting to calm proceedings down. Again, he hasn't taken any emergency action.
Yeah, I think it was a little double kicker from Livramento from one foot to the other. The referee thinking that Martinelli's got a block on it.
Right. Livramento's throw goes into Joel Linton. Forward it goes by Declan Rice. It bounces at the feet of Guimaraes. Guimaraes has decided that either he's had sort of like delayed pain release there, or he is overacting the situation, because there was contact on him as the ball dropped from the sky, and then for whatever reason he then went down rolling around as if he was incredibly badly hurt.
Yeah, you know full well if they can put their hand up and wave their arm in the air, chances are their feet aren't too bad.
Is that speaking from experience? I don't think anyone really caught him, did they? The ball come down off his chest. He went to strike the ball at Marino, and then I don't know what happened there. He didn't. There was nothing doing. Has he pulled something? Has he stretched something?
He might have skimmed. I think he's just skimmed with the outside of his foot. A high foot by Marino, but
it was very little contact, wasn't there? But it seems to have made a rather big impact on him. You're listening to Newcastle versus Arsenal on Talk Sport and the Talk Network with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has 450 branches with all the vehicles your business needs. He's down, and the two sets of players both getting instructions from their coaches. Mikel Arteta on the pitch talking to the Arsenal players, and Eddie Howe at least 3 yards in from the near touchline on the pitch talking to his players. Bruno Guimaraes is back on his feet, and we get back underway. Stewart's played in this fixture before, firstly December 1997 when Ian Wright scored the only goal in a 1-0 victory here. Most painfully, I'm guessing, the defeat at the end of the season that year in the cup final at Wembley. You part of the group that included Shearer, Speed, Batty, Rob Lee, that came closer than most teams in Newcastle's recent memory from ending that trophy drought that this club has gone through, a run that dates back to the Fairs Cup of 1969. It was a marvellous time actually to be involved in the club, wasn't it, when you were here?
Well, we had 2 FA Cup finals, you know. The first one, the first season I was here was the Arsenal game, and then the following May was the Manchester United game. But yeah, good time. I'm not sure there's a bad time to be involved in a club of this magnitude, you know. So
eventually Arsenal take the throw. They launch it down the near touchline. We're back underway on Talk Sport with 10 minutes to go before half-time. The ball played down towards the right. It's collected by Partey. Partey moves in field, finds Trossard, tries to release Saka. He just overcooked the pass, and Saka had just drifted in off that right touchline, and he got between the two centre-halves. And had he have been played the ball at the requisite pace, he would have been in one-on-one with Nick Pope.
Yeah, and it was that movement again by Havertz. Havertz has took Dan Burn out the equation. He's gone with his man, rightly so, but he created a big space right in the inside right position where Saka got into, but the pass, really poor pass.
Arsenal have only lost once this season, and they are desperate to creep up behind Liverpool and Manchester City. They were 5 points adrift of the leaders heading into this weekend, 4 behind Arne Slot's Reds. They need to put 3 points on the board, but they're trailing here, and we're approaching the last 10 minutes of, we're into the last 10 minutes of the first half. 1-0 to Newcastle. Share forward, it's a poor pass. Where was the midfield? Everyone had gone darting forward. Timber funnels back, wins it for Arsenal. Out to the left of Martinelli. Martinelli's facing up Livramento. Goes on the outside, tries to produce a cross. Well, it took a double deflection that. The second off the Brazilian, goes behind and away for a goal kick. And Mikel Arteta looking a little bit perturbed that his team are maybe a little bit too desperate to try and find the equaliser, Stuart. Just saying to everyone, just calm down, play your football, your opportunities will come.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I think, yes, I'm a neutral in this scenario, but I think both teams have done well enough in this first half. The only thing that separated them is that fantastic cross and goal from Newcastle, but both teams have created opportunities, and both teams will be more than pleased with the way the game's gone, I would suspect.
Well, they used to be so solid, but defensively this season, or especially in the last few weeks, this Arsenal team has been about as reliable as a Catherine wheel. Goals have been going off in all directions. Ball sent up down the left-hand side. Looking for the run of Joel Willock. It bounces over the former Arsenal man's head and into the arms of David Raya, the Spanish goalkeeper, away to our right in a sort of bright green outfit with orange splashes over his chest. He's got orangey pink boots on, and he plays the ball out wide to Havertz, who's dropped into an almost right back position here. Funneled forward by Saliba, took a deflection off a Newcastle body and out in front of the East stand, and away for a throw-in to Arsenal, who trailed by 1-0. Later on today, Bournemouth against Manchester City. We're around the grounds with Adrian Durham. And remember, the phone-in with Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy from 5:30 today. You'll be able to have your say on all of the sporting action. 03717 2233 44. Always good when those two get together. The Sports Bar boys coming into the weekend. Here is Saliba. Oh, he's given the ball away to Gabriel. Gabriel's given the ball away straight to Guimaraes, and it's picked up by Alexander Isak, who's made space for Guimaraes again. Oh, he tried to toss it back into the box, but it was away by Marino, who dropped in. And then there was a high foot by Longstaff, and that's going to go against him. It's going to be a free kick to Arsenal. And Mikel Arteta just getting a little bit animated. A yellow card for Cher for arguing there. Well, it might be for the bump, actually, initially. I mean, the free kick definitely given for Longstaff dragging back Trossard with his arms, but the yellow card given to Cher, I think, for either arguing or kicking the ball away.
Yeah, Trossard was clever there. He knew he was going to get beaten in the air, so he's just used his body to make sure the Newcastle defender couldn't get first contact on it. And then Newcastle silly give the free kick away.
And he's the first one to go into the book, Fabian Cher, despite the other issues that we've had. And there's another discussion that's going to be upcoming now, because Joe Willock is being called over after a free kick given over on the far side for a foul against Saka. And Arsenal fans sitting high up above the Lees' end, very much indulging in a bit of cheer, whilst the Newcastle fans having a go at the Arsenal players for cheating. The suggestion was that there was a little dive there by Saka. I'm not necessarily sure that was the case. I thought he was caught, and even before that, Havertz had been sandwiched between two defenders. So it's a legitimate free kick for Arsenal over on the far side, which Declan Rice will take. And he's got Gabriel in the centre waiting for the delivery again, that set-piece finisher. It's a high line from Newcastle here.
Very high line. Probably the edge of the box would have probably been my line, I think, but they've come sort of point of the arc, if you like. Yeah. They'll drop back in, but gives the goalkeeper a bit more room to manoeuvre.
Ball sent in behind that line, and it's not very well aimed, but it has run through to Partey, who's kept it alive on this near left-hand side. Martinelli takes over, back to Partey again, wants to get it onto his right foot across. He does that towards the far post, and Gabriel was trying to fight with Joel Linton for it. Goes behind, and Joel Linton acts as conductor of the orchestra behind the goal by raising his arms and saying, look, I've done my job, now you do yours. Raise the noise levels inside this stadium again.
Yeah, and it was one of those actions I mentioned earlier, the midfield players doing their job brilliantly. And if you watch Joe Linton beforehand, he's having a physical tussle with Gabriel. If he decides to pass him on, Gabriel gets a free run at goal there and a free header.
Well, remember, Newcastle United have already this season held Manchester City. Partey just gone in the back of Joel Linton. Joel Linton went down immediately and won the free kick.
Yeah, got clever there, Joe Linton. Just stepped across the path of Partey and initiated contact, I think. Both teams very aggrieved, and both sets of fans very aggrieved with every decision that's made.
Yeah, that's what we like, though. A bit of hostility, a bit of anger, a bit of aggressiveness, and a quick free kick taken. And they weren't set, Arsenal. Played down the left for Willock, and then that's a poor tackle by Partey. And the free kick is given. They want to take it quickly to Joel Linton, not allowed to, and Partey's going to be spoken to by John Brooks as we go into 2.5 minutes before the end of the first half. Bolton 0, Swansea 1. Oxford 0, Swansea 1 is the latest scoreline from the Championship. And Swansea leading away at an Oxford side that actually never lose at home. I think 7 games now since Oxford last lost at home in the Championship, and actually usually, even if they are struggling a little bit, find a way to get back into the game late on. So Swansea will need to be aware of that. Free kick here far side, a yard in from the touchline, to be taken by Gordon, I think, right-footed. He'll drip this one in towards the near post, Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, it looks as though he will, and as I say, set plays, certainly Arsenal, it's looked their best chance.
Gordon, it's a poor delivery, a low one, which is easily fended clear by Trossard, who was the first man inside the box, and from a good angle they wasted that, but he's tossed it back in to the edge of the penalty area, away by Gabriel, won by Bruno Guimaraes. Cher, near side the right, chance to cross, chops back in on his left foot, lays it into Isaac, who plays it out towards Longstaff. Longstaff's dispossessed. Did the ball go out of play there? I think it's going to for an Arsenal throw down by the corner flag.
If you're Arsenal now, you say to yourself, look, we're in the game, it's only 1-0, but what we can't do is end up getting a player sent off, because if any team lose a player in this game, I don't think they'd go on to win it, and I include Newcastle in that statement.
Jurrien Timber to take the throw down by the touchline. We're waiting for him to launch the ball forward. It's flicked into the air by Livramento. It bounces for Cher. They were up and at Chelsea during the game on Wednesday night. Newcastle, they've been in the faces of Arsenal today. They always save their best for these big games at St James Park. Ball with Lewis Hall, drills the ball from left, looking for the right winger Gordon, but it's intercepted by Timber. Back in by Bruno Guimaraes, whose header is just a little bit too heavy. It goes straight through the middle of the 18-yard box, and it's collected by David Raya, and it remains 1-0 to Newcastle.
Yeah, I think the header was so heavy you'd have to deem it as an effort at goal. It was that bad.
Yes, it just certainly had a bit of punch behind it, didn't it? And so has this game. It's been a little bit of a late scare for Arsenal. Hangover from Halloween. Did you dress up on Halloween, by the way?
No more than usual, thank you.
I was going to say, right. You could just wear your normal clothes, couldn't you?
Cheers, well done. All right.
Go and frighten one or two.
Just a cheap shot. I've seen it in your notes. I know that. That's not spontaneity. That was in your notes.
Here is Martinelli down the left-hand side, trying to get into the penalty area. Look for a cross. Blocked by Livramento. Comes back out on this near side. Back it goes to Timber. Timber with maybe a chance to cross. Collected by Trossard, and he's being harassed by Bruno Guimaraes, but managed to work the ball wide towards the right, and Partey. Partey finds Havertz. Back to Partey again, and then all the way back to the halfway line. And we've played 30 seconds of 3 minutes of added time at the end of the first half. Here, far touchline is Saka. Newcastle going to go in with an advantage here if it stays like this. Gabriel inside the centre circle, moves forward, looks up, plays it wide to Jurrien Timber. Timber stops the ball midway inside the Newcastle half. He goes centrally, gives it to Partey, who finds Marino. Marino wide onto Martinelli. Chance for a cross. It's a deep one to the far post. Pope comes out. Haymakers the ball to the far side, and it just drifts towards the touchline, but Saka keeps it alive, allows it to come off the Brazilian Joel Linton, wins a quick throw, takes it smartly into the path now of Declan Rice. He runs laterally into the middle of the Newcastle half, and now Gabriel takes over. A late flurry of attack from Arsenal, but can they get a shot on Nick Pope's goal? They haven't really done that so far in the game. Both of their efforts from Saka have gone wide. Here is Declan Rice, wider still. Marino with a cross, and out comes Pope. And well, I mean, he's so big, so tall, so muscular. His arms thrust into the air, and he dominates the skyline and grabs the ball and pulls it into his chest.
Yeah, more than comfortable. He's come for a couple, but Arsenal from set plays, and Arsenal have sort of crowded him out the situation. Give him a clear run, he's always going to take the ball.
Ball clipped high into the air. There's a bit of pushing and shoving going on. Isaac is backing into the defender, Gabriel. Gabriel was giving him a shove too. Referee saw nothing wrong with it, said play on. The ball's cleared by Arsenal, and it goes out for a throw in the left full-back position for the home team. We're into the 3rd minute of added time at the end of the first half. Who's going to be happier with the way their team have performed, do you think?
Well, the team that look up at the scoreboard and see that they've scored a goal, without a doubt. But from performance, there's not much to choose between the performance of both of these teams. I think Newcastle worked really hard in trying to stop any dangers, and I'm looking at the likes of the more advanced players rather than the defenders, who you'd expect have done a brilliant job for the team.
Arsenal created enough going forward?
They've missed passes, Sam, and that's been a bit of a problem for them. They've got into good areas, maybe 30, 40 metres out from goal. They've missed passes or missed crosses and just haven't had people getting on the end of things, and that's what's missing from their game.
Yeah, that one big incident was the one where Trossard just doesn't have the right weight of pass to Saka inside the right channel. If they had come up with that moment, you would have thought that they would be on the score sheet too. Well, it's 1-0 to Newcastle.
What you're doing is saying if Odegaard was on the ball, he might have found that pass.
You never know. That might well have been the case. And they do miss him and have missed him. And it's 1-0 to Newcastle as we go in at half-time. Newcastle managed to beat Arsenal here last year. They are about to, if they keep this scoreline, record back-to-back wins here in the Premier League against them for the first time since 1996. And a result like that will do nothing to get Arsenal's title challenge back on track. Alexander Isak converting from a brilliant cross from the right from Anthony Gordon separates the two at half-time. At St James's Park, it's Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0.
Sam Masface, thank you very much. Yes, one shot on target for each, but it is Newcastle who've made that shot on target count. They take the lead, as Sam rightly said, as we go into half-time, and the players just a few feet ahead of us actually are heading back into the dressing room as we sit up here in the gantry. Stuart Pearce, it's going to be a big team talk from Mikel Arteta, isn't it?
Well, it is. They've not done too bad. I think they've missed passes in the advanced area of the pitch, definitely. They've been on the receiving end of an outstanding goal, I think, from Newcastle. You know, textbook goal, but a very good goal. Great cross, great finish. They've looked threatening from set plays. There's no doubt about that. They've got first contact at the far post a couple of times and look really threatening. But they've just got to clear up that final pass into the advanced area.
They do have to clear up that final pass going forward, but what about at the back? They've now conceded 11 in their last 6 games. This is a side that, you know, their defence was the bedrock of their title charge last season. It really was. It was that part, the centre-back pairing. People talking about, are they the best centre-back pairing in Europe, Gabriel and Saliba? At the moment, it doesn't look like it.
No, and to be fair, I'm not sure. Yes, there was a centre-forward loose in the middle of the goal, so you're always critical in respect to that. So I do understand that, but the bottom line is they've still got to score at the other end as well, you know. So this game's, for me, is still in the balance. I think there's goals available for both teams within this. Arsenal will be saying, look, if we keep a clean sheet second half, we think we'll come away with something.
What do they need to do technically going into that second half? What do you think Mikel Arteta will do? Will he make changes?
Well, I tell you what, they done really well early on, and Newcastle, they set themselves up, Newcastle, to press almost man for man, and were happy to be pulled around all over the pitch. And as we saw with Timber, he went into the space that the two centre-halves vacated by going with their men. They've got to do that, Arsenal, and keep doing that and do it slightly better. Get players pulled around a little bit more. Newcastle will be happy if they can get all their players, all their 10 outfield players, 40 yards out from goal, all compact, all in their relative positions. What they need to do, move those players around a little bit.
Surprise them a little bit almost.
Exactly, and create the space for others.
Yeah, okay, big second half coming up here at St James's Park. It's been so entertaining, these opening 45 minutes, but it is Newcastle who have the lead going into this. It's Newcastle 1, Arsenal 1, and the second half is up after this.
Game day exclusive on TalkSport with Sky Sports. Stream the biggest Premier League games, available with no contract on now. Like Wolves versus Crystal Palace live today. 18 plus, stream via internet, terms apply.
Screwfix Sprint delivers from store to door in 60 minutes or less. So, whatever the job, you can do it with less hassle and more hustle. Less pausing and more pressing on. So don't break your stride. Screwfix Sprint. Order now exclusively on a Screwfix app. £5 delivery charge, no minimum spend. Don't stop. Sprint. Conditions and geographical restrictions apply. Selected products.
You don't just check in to a village hotel. You work out. You jump in. You play on. You tuck in. and drink up. Village Hotels, 33 locations with everything under one roof. A huge gym with pool and great membership opportunities, and a buzzing pub and grill with delicious food, ice-cold beers and live sport. Check out villagehotels.com and work out, stay, meet and play.
The new £5 meal deal from McDonald's. Get a cheeseburger or mayo chicken, medium fries, 4 McNuggets and a medium soft drink for guess what? That's right, £5. It's not called the £5 meal deal for nothing. From 11 a.m. Not available on delivery. Carbonated soft drink upgrade fees apply. Participating restaurants subject to availability.
Football is back and it's game on. Get the ultimate football coverage with the Sun's free pull-out goals. With the best writers pitch side for in-depth match reports, it's all about goals. And with unrivaled news from the Premier League to League Two, it has to be goals. Stay up to date on all the latest football action. Get your free copy of Goals every Saturday, Sunday and Monday, only in the Sun.
Settle down for a night of crime. Witness a heist. Follow a car chase. Eat too much popcorn. Meet a mafia boss. Join in a bank robbery. Think about making a cup of tea. Be too comfortable to get up. For less.
Selected IKEA sofas are now at a new lower price, along with thousands of other products. IKEA, the wonderful everyday.
At Betfair, we're about finding different ways to play. Like with our 90-minute guarantee. We've all been there. The clock ticks over into 90 minutes, and then a speculative cross into the box ricochets off a knee and goes in, ruining your bet. But with Betfair's 90-minute guarantee, if your bet is winning at 90 minutes or full time, we pay out. Betfair. Play different.
Applies to match odds 90 market or markets with the 90 icon. Sportsbook exclusive. Terms and conditions apply. 18+ BeGambleAware.org.
We all fantasize about our perfect home. Watching the big game cozied up in the snug. Balmy summer nights with the kids playing on the lawn.
We're playing real-life football!
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of April 2024 and 30th of June 2024 was under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
Game day exclusive on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has vans of all shapes and sizes. So if you've got a plan, we've got a van.
Game day. Big ticket Premier League football you can't afford to miss.
What a wonderful noise!
The biggest and best football on the radio.
Game day exclusive on TalkSport.
You are listening to Game Day Exclusive. I'm Reshmin Chowdhury, and it's half-time here at St James's Park. It's Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0. That is how it finished almost a year ago today on the 4th of November 2023, and that fiery encounter here in the northeast. Can it stay the same? Arsenal will have something to say about that. Really looking forward to the second half here. A few other half-time scores to bring you in the Championship. It's Blackburn Rovers 0, it's Sheffield United 1, Oxford United 0, Swansea 1, and Stoke 1, Derby County 0. Now over on TalkSport 2 there is live one-day international cricket. England are in the West Indies. It's the second match of the series, and watching for TalkSport is Nick Ellaby.
Yeah, good afternoon, Reshmin. Crucially, England have won the toss and have chosen to bowl first in this second ODI at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium in Antigua. There was some rain about last night. Captain Liam Livingstone hopes the moisture will give his opening bowlers a bit of help early on. There's a thunderstorm forecast later as well. One change for England today. Saqib Mahmood in for Jamie Overton, who's coming back from an injury still. One change for the West Indies as well. Fast bowler Shamar Joseph in for Alzari Joseph. So the England lineup: Salt, Jacks, Cox, Bethel, Livingstone, Sam Curran, Mosley, Rashid, Archer, Mahmood and Turner. It's a must-win game for England. They were smashed by 8 wickets in the first of these 3 ODIs on Thursday, and another huge test for this young and inexperienced England side while the test players rest up. Play starts at 1:30. We've got live ball-by-ball coverage on TalkSport 2 and TalkSport's Cricket YouTube channel, and I'll bring you updates all day here on TalkSport.
Nick Ellaby, thank you very much. Yeah, that's going to be on TalkSport 2 as well. Now, let's get the latest from Betfair, shall we? As we are in half-time in this game, Betfair, of course, the official betting partner of TalkSport's Premier League coverage.
Odds update on TalkSport with Betfair. Get a completely free ACCA or Bet Builder on football this weekend. Opt-in and previous deposit required. Max free bet varies from £1 to £10 per customer. Minimum odds and T's and C's apply. 18 plus. Gambleaware.org.
Barry Orr joins us from Betfair. Barry, it's been a really excellent end-to-end first half. What does it do to the odds?
It really has. Newcastle have really come to the party. But talking about parties, Thomas Partey to commit one foul was the Betfair super boost, and that was landed. One or more fouls, and that was landed in the first half, Richmond, for his backers. So it was 1-5. We super boosted to even money. So happy days for his backers. Newcastle now half-time betting in play at Betfair. A shade of odds on at 10-11. Arsenal out to 7-2. The draw is second favourite at 21-10. Over 2.5 goals, a shade of odds on at 17-20. Over 3.5 goals is 13-5. In correct score betting, if you think it's going to stay 1-0 as it was last season, that's a 4-1 chance.
And what about the charity bet? Sam's put the bet on. How's that one looking?
Yeah, so the charity bet at the moment, we need Saka to have 2 or more shots on target and Arsenal to win. So it's a watching brief for this charity bet just for now, but fingers crossed, you never know.
You never ever know. Barry, thank you very much for joining us. As always, that odds update is all thanks to Betfair. Returns accurate as of 10 minutes ago. For verification, see betfair.com. Over 18s only, conditions apply, but do go to begambleaware.org.
Odds update on TalkSport with Betfair. Get a completely free ACCA or Bet Builder on football this weekend. Opt-in and previous deposit required. Max free bet varies from £1 to £10 per customer. Minimum odds and T's and C's apply. 18 plus. Gambleaware.org.
Now the Game Day Live team follows us next, led by the imperious Adrian Durham, who is at Anfield for Liverpool against Brighton today. However, the game you're hosting is Bournemouth against Manchester City, which is live on TalkSport. I've had to sort of get my head around that one.
Well, we've got it all covered. That's what it is, Rashmi. So, listen, it's the top three, it's the title race. You're doing Arsenal right now. They're losing 1-0 to Newcastle. Second half coming up. We're watching Liverpool, who are second in the table. The Brighton players have just arrived, walking on the pitch, which is also being watered, so they're dodging the sprinklers as I speak. And then we've got commentary of Man City, who are top. But I think it's a fascinating title race, mainly because Manchester City have been hit with this incredible injury crisis. And when Pep Guardiola said we've got 13 fit outfield players, I think everybody scoffed a bit, because the mantra is they've got a massive squad.
Yes.
But if you count them up, he's absolutely right. One of them even includes Josh Wilson-Esbrand, who's never played a Premier League game for Manchester City, the young defender. So there is an injury crisis. So I think if Man City do win the league this year, Liverpool and Arsenal will be looking back thinking, remember when they had the injury crisis and we had a great chance and blew it? Now's the time to be picking up points and not just closing the gap, but making a gap on Man City at the top.
What about Arsenal at the moment, though? Because Liverpool fans will be watching this game thinking, ooh, I'd love this one to stay like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Man City and Liverpool fans will be loving that. Listen, they've not coped well with the injuries to key players they've had, notably Martin Odegaard. There was a moment in commentary in that first half when Stuart pointed out that, Sam said, weight of the pass from Trossard wasn't right for Saka. Stuart pointed out, what you're saying is they need Odegaard back quickly, which is absolutely bang on. And they do, because they haven't got the squads. Their 11 is great, but have they got the squads that's going to cope with a title race right to the end? I feel they had chances to win it in the last 2 years, didn't take those chances. Losing ground now, I mean, crikey, they could be 8 points off City by the end of today, and that is not a healthy look as far as Arsenal are concerned.
No, certainly not. And as you say, the injuries have hit them hard. In fact, there was a moment in the press conference yesterday where Mikel Arteta said Ricky and Martin are definitely out, and I thought, ooh, he's living a vida loca, isn't he? Or not? It must have just been me, but it really made me laugh. I thought, oh, Ricky and Martin, they're definitely out. I was like, oh.
It was just you.
It was just me, wasn't it? It could only be me. But it's interesting watching them now. I feel that, I don't know, there's got got to be a real mental resolve in this Arsenal side now if they're to come back from the disappointments, and the players are just heading out onto the pitch now, and if they're to sort of overcome this sort of really rough patch that they seem to be in. And I mean, rough, they've drawn their last game and they lost their first game in the Premier League season. To any other team, that's not a terrible thing. But for this Arsenal side, who are challenging against this resurgent Liverpool side, as well as this colossus of a Manchester City side, there's got to be more than just the squad. And if the squad, as you say, isn't where it should be at the moment, they've got to dig deeper.
Well, in this era, Rashmin, in this Man City era, you have to be pretty much near perfect to pip them to the title, and Arsenal definitely aren't that. If you just look at the Newcastle goal, for example, Gabriel's header away is Gabriel loses his man. He loses his act. He has no idea where he is. He's just marking space, really, and it's a great cross from Gordon, hits Isaac on the head perfectly, and he steers it into the goal.
Yeah,
so it looks a terrific goal, but the defending is terrible. Partey's original header, giving the ball away edge of his own box, is diabolical. But this is what happens when you've got players playing out of position. They might play well for half a game, and everybody thinks, oh yeah, they're really good there. I didn't realise he was that good. No, over the course of 2 or 3 games, you realise there are deficiencies in their game. We saw that with Partey today, and I'm not totally convinced Gabriel's as good as Arsenal fans say he is, but we'll see. By the end of the game, they might have won it. Who knows? Yeah,
and who knows? And it can change so quickly, can't it? Well, it was something I was saying to Stuart Pearce that we were talking about. I remember in a Champions League game, I was asking, I think, Rio Ferdinand and Martin Keown. I said, look, are Saliba and Gabriel the best centre-back pairing in Europe right now? And at that time, they really damn looked like they were.
Saliba's very good, let's put it that way.
Saliba's very good, let's say.
Saliba's a great pairing, yeah.
He's right out there in a league of his own. Adrian Durham, thank you very much. We'll be hearing from you later. Arsenal were the team out early. They were in a huddle. I wonder what they were talking about. Newcastle United have just stepped out onto the pitch, which means the second half is about to kick off. So I'm going to hand you back to Stuart Pearce. But first, Sam Matterface.
Thank you very much. Yes, welcome back. We are at St James's Park with the soundtrack to the Blaydon races bellowing from the speakers above our heads. Alexander Isak, the last man out of the tunnel for Newcastle, who are about to shoot from right to left in this second half. The floodlights actually now being turned up to the max because it is so dismal in terms of light. But the game itself was intoxicating in that first sort of half an hour. Got a little bit scrappy towards the end of the first half, but a brilliant match to watch. And Newcastle lead it by a goal to nil. No changes at half-time for either of these two teams. Newcastle in black and white, shooting towards the Leeds' end in the second half. And it's going to be the red shirts and white shorts of Arsenal that get us underway. The ball loose in midfield immediately, and Willock has tried to tease it out towards Anthony Gordon, and there's 4 in the attack here. And Gordon has released Willock into the box, right-footed. Raya has to stretch out to his left and stop the ball from sneaking in at the near post. Maybe the ball didn't have the requisite power behind it, but an absolutely delightful break and almost a deadly one from Newcastle.
Yeah, and when you come out and you're a goal up at half-time, what you want to do is make a statement early on, not sit back on a lead and let Arsenal get the ascendancy in the game, and certainly Newcastle did that.
Nick Pope is the goalkeeper for Newcastle. Livramento share Byrne and Hall, the back 4, but they're on the attack with Gordon on the right side again in front of that midfield of Longstaff, Kamares and Joel Linton. He delivers across towards Willock at the far post. It's over his head. Willock's got Isak and Gordon alongside him in the attack, and Arsenal bring the ball clear with Saka near side, draws a foul from Joel Linton, free kick given. They've got Raya in goal, Partey, Saliba, Gabriel and Timber the back 4. Gabriel making, I think, a mistake for the goal, the cross into the box, and having a look at it at half-time. It looked like he lost his man. He didn't know where Isak was. The midfield duo of Rice and Marino in the middle, Trossard behind Havertz, and Martinelli and Saka on the flanks. And what will they have to do in this second half to get back into the game, Stuart Pearce? Because they can't really afford to lose this match. I know it's early in the season, but giving up 8 points to Manchester City at this stage, which might not be the case because they might not go and win at Bournemouth today, but it's highly possible.
It certainly is, and that's the narrative around Arsenal nowadays. Cannot afford to drop points, cannot afford to do this, and that's all come from the fact that they pushed the bar up for themselves last season and the season before.
Well, before the last 3 seasons in which Newcastle have beaten Arsenal twice on visits here, they had struggled for nearly 2 decades against them at St James's Park. Ben White's own goal and Bruno Guimaraes' strike in May 2022 gave Newcastle 3 points. Anthony Gordon did it last year with a helping hand from the officials. And today they're in the lead by a goal to nil, courtesy of Isak's strike. Here is Saka on the right-hand side, twisting and turning down the left, getting down the side of the box and through the legs of Lewis Hall. Just stood firm, and then Saka went down, wanting a free kick he didn't get. And then Bruno Guimaraes brings it clear. He looked like he was challenged illegally on the edge of the box, but the ball's come back to Rice, and Rice now runs towards the edge of the D, and Longstaff intervenes, and then Partey wanders into midfield, and Arsenal on the attack again. They've got Yuri and Timber on the ball now, left side of the Arsenal attack, trying to find a way to Martinelli. Gets it to Martinelli, gets it back again, Yuri and Timber, right-footed cross into the box, headed away by Cher. It's going to be reached by William Saliba. Everybody in Arsenal red is within 10 yards of the penalty area that they're attacking, and then there was a pull inside the box which has gone against the Arsenal man, and that's going to be a free kick.
Yeah, it was Havertz on Hall actually, what the free kick was about, but I think Arsenal should be highlighting that. Havertz pulling onto Hall, and there's a height disparity there, and Arsenal would have probably been well suited to toss the ball in the box and see how that develops.
There's been a big drama here before. Who can forget February 2011? Newcastle 4, Arsenal 4. Alan Pardew's Newcastle came from 4-0 down after 26 minutes to draw 4-4 thanks to the late Czech Tiote. What a goal that was. Unforgettable strike, and everyone who knew Czech Tiote said he was an unforgettable bloke as well.
Well, we got a quiet moment as well. I've just got to mention to our listeners that I am sat between Deck, who's just removed his moustache, and yourself, and he's looking at you in a lusty way because of your moustache.
Do you think so?
It's unnerved me slightly.
Has it?
It certainly has.
Yeah, he's got all baby face for Movember.
He certainly has, and to be fair, he loves his tash.
I've not done it this year. I did it last year, and we're always supporting the Movember cause, but we're funneling our funds into Deck's account this time around. He is. We'll sponsor him quite happily.
Yeah, he's had a new extension, by the way, built on the back of it. I'll have you know.
You're listening to Newcastle versus Arsenal on TalkSport with Sky Sports. Don't forget you can stream the biggest Premier League games available with no contract on now, like Wolves versus Palace live today. Search Now Sports. Arsenal have the ball, centre circle, with Thomas Partey. Floats the ball high into the afternoon sky. There's a bit of moisture in the air, and certainly is grey and grizzly above our heads. The floodlights on top of the east stand, very much at high voltage as the ball goes into Gabriel, and he again tries to toss it out to the right hand side, stopped by Livramento. The ball pops into Trossard's path. He can't steer it wide to Martinelli. Livramento there again, and then he runs into traffic. The ball's turned over, and Martinelli's got space on the edge of the area. Feeds Trossard into the box, stretching for it, but so is Byrne. And Byrne's stretch covers more ground than little diminutive Leandro Trossard. It goes behind, and it's away for a corner kick over on the far side. Right, let's get to the West Indies and find out about a development in the cricket. Nick Ellaby.
Afternoon, Sam. Early wicket. West Indies 7 for 1. Brandon King, the opener, gone for 7. John Turner with a wicket. Unreal catch in the gully by Jordan Koch. 2 overs gone. West Indies 7 for 1.
Yes, that's live over on TalkSport 2 right now. If you want to watch or listen to England in the one-day international, the second one-day international in the West Indies at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium in Antigua, and it's available on TalkSport 2. Just download the app. You can flick between the two stations here on TalkSport. We're live at St James's Park in Newcastle, and they're defending a corner kick which Rice has delivered to the far post, and Marino's gone up again, but Cher's done brilliantly. It's been kept in by Guimaraes by the corner flag. He's cleared well, and Willock now will look to try and break, but he's immediately hounded by Trossard, who wins it back, and then Partey funnels it all the way back to David Raya. He kicks clear up towards the right side. Saka tries to go towards it. It's away by Hall. A little bump in the back for Marino from Joel Linton, who puts himself about so busily. And again, the aggression from Newcastle just wins the day. Isak tries to turn. He gets away from Havertz. He skips infield. Gets the ball away from Trossard. Floats it far side. Gordon's got it now. They're on the attack, Newcastle. They've got Livramento outside Gordon. Livramento into the box. Longstaff making a charge. His cross is blocked by Rice. It goes behind and away for another corner.
I'll tell you what, when the scoreline's panned out at the end and managers go into a huddle with their coaches in the dressing rooms, it'll be all the little things like we've just seen once again from Joe Linton, scrapping away for the ball, semi-fouls each time, admittedly. He got away with it, but working tirelessly for the team out of possession.
Remember, Arsenal have conceded more goals than anybody else from set pieces in the Premier League this season. They're facing another one now. Gordon to take it, right-footed. It's a deep delivery. Longstaff is peeling at the back post, but Saliba watched it well, headed clear, and then Trossard immediately funnels it to halfway. And Saka, in a bit of a jump with Livramento, the ball, I think, spilled out on the near side. Then Longstaff went down under Saka's very tame challenge. A free kick has been given for Newcastle. And it's going to be a Geordie ball on halfway.
Once again, break on there, and it was Longstaff who sprinted 40 yards to get contact, help his full-back out.
But that's what you've got to do, isn't it? You know, when you're in this situation and you are Newcastle United, you're taking on a team that arguably are better than you. And let's be clear, they probably are man for man better than Newcastle United, Arsenal. You've got to work, you've got to scrap, you've got to show the aggression, desire and intensity, which was a big criticism of Eddie Howe earlier in the season, actually, that Newcastle weren't doing that.
Yeah, sometimes you think you've earned the right, but you have to earn the right on a game-by-game basis, you know, and it's probably one of the reasons why Longstaff's in the starting lineup.
Yeah, we mentioned that earlier on when the team news came out, why Tonali was not in the team and Longstaff was. Oh, a little bit of a befuddlement for Nick Pope, who had the ball at his feet. Didn't look comfortable, decided to kick it clear in the end after a little attempt at a Cruyff turn, but you know, some Cruyff turns are neat and balletic, and some look like an articulated lorry trying to turn around in a lay-by.
I've seen the Bismarck turn quicker than Nick Pope right just then. Dear oh dear. Just kick it the way you're facing, please.
Here is Rice out to the near touchline, collected by Trossard now, trundling forward. He cuts infield, goes past Willock, then back again, around the other side of Willock, gets into a right wing position. He's got Saka in front of him. Hall with a challenge, well timed, great intervention. There was a foul by Trossard as the ball was released on Willock, and Newcastle actually had the ball. Could they have played on? Was it right to stop it?
No, of course they should have played on. He's got the ball. They're coming away from a dangerous situation. They've dealt with a problem, and all it does is antagonise the foul. A, you've stopped the attack, and B, you've drawn a situation where you think if you're going to stop play, you're going to have to brandish a card. Don't stop play for the sake of it.
Well, he should have brandished his card. He didn't do that. I mean, that has got to be a yellow card. He's literally... I mean, I know they've had the All Blacks at the training ground this week, but the rugby tackle was a little bit unnecessary, I thought.
It's fair to say there's a little bit of niggle creeping into Arsenal's play, I think.
Ball loose on halfway. Havertz tosses it out to Saka. Tight to the touchline, inside the Arsenal half. Saka does brilliantly to get it back to Saliba. Goes to Ryan. Not the best of balls, but he deals with that adroitly. And when you look at the comparison between the way that Pope dealt with a much easier ball and Ryan dealt with a very dicey one, there was no comparison. Yeah. Here is...
The word chalk and cheese springs to mind.
Bruno Guimaraes up to halfway. Back to Cher. And it goes to Bruno Guimaraes again. He tries to play it around the corner. I think he was caught there by Marino. That's going to be a yellow card. It's just a yellow card, despite the response that makes it sound like a goal has been scored.
I think as well, if you highlight the fact that your team are a little bit hard done by with decisions, hard done by this and that, sometimes the opposition and the opposition crowd especially play up to it and put that extra bit of pressure on the referees.
Eddie Howe has had no luck at all against Arsenal. The former Bournemouth boss has lost 11 of his last 17 matches as a manager against Arsenal in all competitions. But they are in the lead here by 1-0. And I mentioned that stat earlier about Longstaff, their win percentage going up considerably when he is in the team. I mean, it can't be a coincidence, that, can it? Here is Jurrien Timber out towards the left, funneling the ball into Martinelli. Martinelli trying to take on Livramento, gets down towards the touchline. Martinelli dispossessed by Livramento, and Longstaff is there to once again start the attack. He plays the ball into Ezak, goes wide towards the right, and Gordon, then back into Livramento, and then all the way back to Cher, who then gets it forward out to this near side. There's a chance to break here if Willock can poke it forward into Joel Linton. He's done that. He looks for the return to get in behind Saliba. He's got to the edge of the box now. He's got support from Izak arriving. He goes for goal instead and blasts the ball over the top of the crossbar. Izak waiting on the edge of the 6-yard box, and Bruno Guimaraes coming in on the edge of the 18-yard area. Look at him as if to say, what a brilliant chance we've carved out there, and haven't we just wasted it?
Yeah, I think he done everything right personally. You know, Joe Linton done well, good weight of passing behind the Arsenal back line, and then he's manipulated the ball onto his left foot and just skied it.
A wicket in the West Indies. We're off there in just a second, but once again Newcastle have turned the ball over quickly and they're on the attack. Joel Linton just dropping in and getting to halfway, finding Lewis Hall. He moves infield. He's got Saka and Saliba for company. He's found Bruno Guimaraes, and then it's all the way back to the halfway line. 1-0 the score to Newcastle United. What's happening in Antigua? Nick Ellaby.
West Indies 12 for 2 now in the fourth over. Evan Lewis, the danger man, gone for 4. He gloved a short one down the leg side. Salt takes the catch. John Turner has his second. 3.3 overs gone. West Indies 12 for 2.
Looks like there's going to be a substitution in just a moment, but there has been a free kick here which has been taken and wasted by Newcastle. And given away to Saka on the near touchline. But again, Willock working so hard, getting back to help his teammate out, winning the ball, turning it over, and now Bruno Guimaraes has carried it 20-30 yards upfield. Newcastle here in possession and on the front foot and in the lead on the scoreboard. And I don't think Arsenal have matched their work rate so far. Here is Livramento again, right side, trying to get to the edge of the box. Gets it into the right wing position, plays it against Jurrien Timber, who just falls over, puts the ball out of play. It's away for a throw-in. So let's go off to the Vitality Stadium where Bournemouth take on Manchester City. Pep will certainly have one ear on this result, Ian Danter.
He will, and he makes 3 changes to the City side that played Southampton in the Premier League last weekend. If we miss out the Tottenham game in midweek, Walker, Ake and Gundogan come in. Lewis is absent. Savinho is fit enough for the bench. Akanji plays. Haaland, of course, starts. 3 changes for Bournemouth after the draw at Villa. Smith, Tavernier and Evan Ilson, who scored the equaliser at Villa Park, come in for Unal, Araujo and Ouattara. Live on TalkSport at 3, it's Bournemouth against Manchester City.
That's right, a smorgasbord of live sport on the Talk Network this weekend. Because we've got, as I mentioned, live commentary from the West Indies going on at the moment over on TalkSport 2. We've got this game here, and then later on we're bringing you that Bournemouth-Manchester City game. Ball forward by Bruno Guimaraes, looking to release Longstaff. Raya was very quick off his line and gets to the edge of the penalty area and cleared. But Arsenal haven't found a way back into this game, so they're going to make a double substitution. Marino is coming off, Zinchenko is coming on, and Ethan Nwaneri is coming on. And he is going to replace Gabriel Martinelli. What do you make of those changes, Stuart Pearce?
Well, it's a strange one, Martinelli. I think what they're going to do, shove Trossard out wide now. Can see that a little bit. I thought Trossard might be the one to come off. Zinchenko, where's he off to? Into his left back berth over there, I think.
So I think it means that Zinchenko goes to left back, Timber goes to right back, Saliba and Gabriel, the 2 centre-halves. Partey goes into a more defensive midfield position, allowing Rice to push on, with Trossard going out wider to the left, Havertz as the point man, and Nwaneri playing as the number 10, and Saka as the right-hand side.
Well, what I would is they probably needed to do something to give the place a lift. I think since half-time, Newcastle have come out, won the battles a little bit, and look probably the side more likely to score a goal.
Let's go off to St Mary's, because Southampton, winless so far, take on Everton, and Alex Crook is there.
And Tyler Dibbling drops to the Saints bench due to illness, so Adam Armstrong starts, and the only change from defeat at Manchester City last weekend. Everton have Dwight McNeil fit, but Abdoulaye Doucouré is injured. He's not travelled, so Ora Mangala deputises in midfield, while Jesper Lindstrom is in for Jack Harrison. It's Southampton against Everton.
Joel Willock went diving in on Ethan Manieri, and he gets a yellow card as a result. He jumped into that tackle. It was a dangerous one. Let's go off to Ipswich. Dave Rowe.
Ipswich still away from their first win. They've lost O'Benny to long-term injury. That's one of 5 changes from defeat at Brentford. Johnson, Morsey, Hutchinson, Chaplin and Delap are all in. Leicester make 2 changes from their lead defeat to Forest, both in defence. Christensen and Vestergaard are both back from injury. They replaced Okoli and Justin, who's left out for the first time this season.
Pope collides with Havertz as he's sent down the left channel, comes away with a ball, Nick Pope. Well, what's going on at Anfield today? Intriguing match. Liverpool-Brighton, Matt Jones.
It is. Tsimikas, Szoboszlai and Gakpo are back for Liverpool as Arne Slot makes 3 changes from the side that drew with Arsenal last week. Robertson, Jones and Diaz dropped to the bench. As for the visitors, just 1 change from their 2-2 draw against Wolves 7 days ago. Hinchelwood is in for Believer. It's Liverpool against Brighton.
Willock wins it back in midfield again. Longstaff, centre circle for Newcastle. Lead by a goal to nil. 63 minutes on the clock at St James Park. And Newcastle, with this result, means that they will be denying Arsenal any points today, should it stay like this. And that means that maybe the top 3 beckons for Nottingham Forest. We'll get there in just a second, but the ball's run kindly for Isak, who's going to shoot from distance. Parried by the goalkeeper down to his left. And it comes back out to the edge of the box, and it's cleared away by Jurrien Timber on this near side. Well, certainly the top 4 is a possibility today, Jeff Peters.
It is indeed, and positive news for Forest. Chris Wood fit to start, hoping to add to his 7 goals in 9, and Morgan Gibbs-White returns from injury and suspension. Anderson drops to the bench. West Ham without the injured Fulkrug and suspended Kudus make 2 alterations. Todibo and Somerville come in for Antonio and Soler.
Blackburn 0, Sheffield United 2, latest scoreline in the Championship. They'll go second today, Sheffield United. Here is Declan Rice on the right-hand side, trying to bobble the ball towards the far corner. Takes a deflection, just goes narrowly wide of the left-hand upright, and Newcastle have a let-off. Well, Declan Rice took matters into his own hands there, dancing down the left, driving at the Newcastle defence, getting into the box, cutting in on his right foot, and he bobbled the ball towards the far corner, and deflection took it wide.
I'll tell you what, Nick Pope's reaction, being flat-footed there, almost said it all. He thought he was done, and the ball just crept past the far post. Great run by Declan Rice.
Going to be a change here, and Willock, I think, is moving towards the near touchline, and Sandro Tonali about to come on. Willock has certainly run his heart out today. Saka coming over to take the corner, and Tonali is on. So Willock off, Tonali on. Linked with Real Madrid last week. The fans booed when he was taken off at Chelsea.
Yeah, I'm not sure taking Willock off. I think they've started this half brilliantly, and I think he's played his part massively for Newcastle.
That midfield has been a massive asset to them, hasn't it? But the legs in midfield have really aided Newcastle's charge. Corner kick then for Arsenal. And it's going to be taken by Saka from the near side. There's a lot of jostling inside the box. It's towards the far post. Pope pushes it away. Not a great punch. The better clearance from Tonali. Back in by Zinchenko into the air. Tonali underneath it. Heads it clear. It drops for Bruno Guimaraes to fight for it. And he does. And he gets there ahead of Zinchenko. And now Gordon can speed away. Down the left touchline for Newcastle, who lead by a goal to nil. 65 minutes gone on TalkSport on the Talk Network. Tonali takes over, goes driving down the left-hand side. Jurrien Timber goes diving in, and that's going to be a yellow card for him.
Well, Timber's just got booked there, and in the first half we suggested that probably he should have been booked for that tug back. The referee give himself and Timber a bit of a leeway, and it probably bore fruit just then.
Well, he's probably pretty fortunate then, isn't he? Because he could have been booked in the first half, wasn't, has now been booked in the second half. Well, I mean, the producer just said to me, was there any contact there? But it doesn't matter, does it? It's the way, it's the nature of the challenge that's caused him grief. Here is the free kick, delivered towards the far post. Byrne flicks it on. It's recycled into the penalty area and grabbed by Raya.
Well, you never know whether there is actually contact or not, because the players all go down cheaply anyway. But the trouble is, the referees don't know that. It happens so quickly, it's almost impossible to tell.
Well, either way, a yellow card has been given to Jurrien Timber, and he's he hasn't got Anthony Gordon to deal with on his left-hand side anymore, so it'll be or Joel Willock, so it's going to be Joe Linton that he has to deal with for the remainder of the match, which is still got some way to go. There's still a vehicle for Arsenal to earn 3 points here, an equaliser soonish, and all of a sudden the feeling will change inside the stadium. Here is Rice far side. They've got to play better than they have done so far. Again, Nick Pope hasn't had to make too many saves. As the ball goes in towards the near post, it's blocked and it goes out for a corner.
Before the game, Sam, I was thinking to myself, where can Arsenal hurt Newcastle? And I thought to myself, probably in the fullback areas against Livramento and Hall. And they've done very, very well up to now in the game.
One shot on target for Arsenal in the entire match. Stoke 1, Derby 1 is the latest scoreline for the Championship. It's 4 without a win for Stoke City, and they were leading for a long part of that game and have been pegged back again. Here is the corner, far side to be taken by Declan Rice in front of the Gallagher end. The Arsenal battalion have once again loaded up the back post, and they will run into the centre to try and block off bodies to allow Gabriel to get free and attack the ball. They do that now. Gabriel's going around the back post, trying to get on the end of it. Comes back to Trossard, who funnels it towards goal. It's blocked at the near post by the Newcastle defence, and it goes out and away for a throw-in on this near side. But I'll tell you what, if Newcastle get through this game without conceding from a set piece, it will be absolutely amazing.
Well, I don't know whether it's good or bad from Arsenal, the fact that their best chance of scoring a goal, and that's been the case in the first half and the second half now, has been from a corner.
Is that their 2 shots on target have actually come now from those set-piece deliveries to the far post, haven't they?
They certainly have, and as I say, they're working it well and working the situation well, but Newcastle are crowding it out.
Jurrien Timber to take the throw-in near side. Lack of cutting edge causing Arsenal a bit of grief. That creativity, that big hole being absent, that's got Martin Ødegaard's name written all over it. They can't get him back quick enough. He is on the verge of a recall, a return after a month and a bit out with injury. He's been such a miss for them. It's nearly 2 months actually since we last saw him in the Premier League. Here is Partey, out to Timber, back to Saliba into Gabriel. What Arsenal won't want to do, by the way, because there's a couple on yellow cards now. In fact, Timber is actually the only one in the Arsenal shirt that's on a yellow card. He's losing another player because of a sending off. That's cost them so far this season. Newcastle have turned the ball over, and it's with Gordon, who trundles down the right-hand side. He's fed Longstaff, who again just underlaps and tries to get the cross in. Gabriel is there to stand in front of the 6-yard box and smuggle it behind, and it goes out for another corner.
Yeah, it looks Longstaff, brilliant run there, just underlapping, and he's pulled the cross across the face of the goal. And I wonder if he's just rolled his ankle at all, just a bit gingerly getting up.
You're listening to Newcastle United 1, Arsenal 0 on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps 120,000 people every day. Corner far side. Nicolas Jorver trying to organise the defence now as the ball goes in towards the near post. A good strong header by Zinchenko. Won by Gordon, edge of the area. Back to Tonali, whose cross is deep in towards Byrne. A couple of deflections inside the area off the back of Arsenal jerseys. 2 players going for the same ball. And then it was smuggled clear by Saka, who had to come round the back and rescue the situation and boot it out.
Yeah, Saliba and Gabriel there, one heading onto the other. And managed to just clear it.
Ben White and Gabriel Jesus about to come on for Arsenal, who have had to turn to the bench to try and reinvigorate their performance. Here is Tonali. Havertz picks it up, turns, runs forward. Tonali trying to, stop the attack, and he leaves his foot in, and he gets the yellow card as a result.
I think we're going to go past the Premier League record of niggly fouls, and There's been so many in this game, it's been incredible.
Well, it was always going to be that sort of game, Stuart, because the only way that Arsenal are going to be stopped is if you stop them playing, and Newcastle know that, and they talked about it openly yesterday. You know, the idea of stopping them legally, but stopping them from getting into their rhythm. They've done that today. Jesus on for Trossard. Wonder what difference that will make. He moves out towards the left side, and Trossard goes off. I haven't seen too much from Ethan Nwaneri so far, playing in that position behind the front man. Big responsibility on the shoulders of just a 17-year-old who was the youngest ever top division player when he came off the bench against Brentford a couple of seasons ago in a game that was live on TalkSport. Pope kicks clear. Going into 20 pivotal minutes for Arsenal. That's a poor touch by Saliba and invited pressure for Ben White, who is also on for Urian Timber. And I think he's been taken off Urian Timber because they were a bit concerned that he'd picked up a yellow card and could find himself in trouble. And I mentioned that just a few moments ago.
Yeah, as I say, a couple of challenges. One he got booked for, and then the one in the first half, which probably should have been a booking as well. So, wise move.
Jesus trying to skip down the left side for Arsenal. Runs into Newcastle traffic, and then it goes back to Pope, and then Pope has to just shovel it away. I mean, Gordon gave it back to him in a difficult area, to be fair. And he isn't the most comfortable with the ball at his feet, Nick Pope, and that showed. Here is Jesus into the penalty area, trying to feed it into Havertz. He'll come out now and claim, though, Nick Pope, and he does that. Well,
Yeah.
Newcastle know they go 8th with a win. The point takes them into the top half of the table, but an 8th place looks a lot better than the 12th that they started with, and it might quieten a bit of noise around here, but it will certainly turn the temperature up on Arteta and Arsenal.
Yeah, I still feel as though there's plenty of time in this game for a goal at both ends as well. I'll be more surprised if it does finish 1-0.
Well, Arsenal hoping that a new month brings a change of fortunes. They won just one league game in October. That was over Southampton. And they're behind here to Alexander Isak's goal after 13 minutes at Newcastle. Problem on the near side for Saka. Hope that's nothing too serious as the ball is cleared upfield. A chest from Hall releases Bruno Guimaraes. Partey steps across him, wins it back. Oh, Saka's got a real problem. He can't stand up properly down in front of us. The game has stopped now, and Saka's still, I think, dealing with the fact that he had a heavy collision. Jorginho comes out with a few words of wisdom. Mikel Arteta just tells him to get on with it.
Yeah, I think he's just been clipped down the back of the ankle.
Oof. Always spicy. He's got the ball again now, right side, and just pushes it back into the path of Ben White. He's playing right back again, played centre back against Liverpool, missed the game against Preston in midweek with a niggling injury that keeps troubling him. Here is Saliba back to White once more. He's got Nwaneri in front of him, and then infield Thomas Partey, but they go all the way back to the halfway line and look to build once again. Zinchenko down the left. They need an inspiration of creativity, a spark, something to lighten the mood for the Arsenal fans. At the moment, they've had a lot of the ball and they've had some shots from range and they've created chaos from set pieces, but they haven't crafted a chance from open play that has really troubled the Newcastle defence.
No, we spoke heavily about their defensive, I wouldn't say frailties, let's say they're conceding a few more than they had done.
White's just played the ball into the right channel. He's on a different wavelength to Nwaneri, and it's currently Arsenal who are trailing by a goal to nil. The latest odds are available from Betfair, the official betting partner of TalkSport's Premier League coverage, where right now you can get Newcastle to win the game at 5-2. The draw is 27-10. Arsenal are 11-1 to come back and win the game. That's all thanks to Betfair, who are paying out winning bets at the 90-minute mark with 90-minute guarantee. Terms and conditions apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org. Nick Pope's gone down to get some treatment. Oof. I'm sure it's a severe injury. In the meantime, finish the point that you were just about to make about, we were talking about for all the frailties of their defence that we've been pointing out. Actually, I think you were about to say something about their attack.
Yeah, I certainly was. As I say, we've said that they've been shipping goals. Listen, they've let one goal in this game, but it's the lack of creativity that has probably might cost them the result eventually, and they've just not worked Nick Pope enough, to be quite honest with you, and the only chances they've had have come from set plays, as you outlined.
Arsenal suffered defeat in their last Premier League away game at Bournemouth. They knew coming here today it was going to be tough, it was going to be intense, but they can't really afford to lose again. David Raya now going around his team, just trying to lift the levels, to raise the energy and get the team flowing again. Nick Pope just getting some instruction from John Brooks after receiving treatment. And he's going to take a goal kick away to our right-hand side, having received that treatment. Gets a ripple of applause from the Gallagate end away to our right. That's the stand where the most vociferous Newcastle supporters are housed, and it goes back right up to the back. It's an odd stand actually, because it is deeper than you expect. And when you go and stand on it, right at the very back, the view there is spectacular. 1-0 to Newcastle. Be a key result in the Premier League, this. Massive for Liverpool, for Manchester City, for Newcastle and for Arsenal. Here is David Raya, their goalkeeper, playing it into Zinchenko. Back for the first time in midweek after being absent since August the 31st, Alex Zinchenko. And now on the pitch again today, trying to swirl the ball down the left side, looking for Havertz. Headed forward by Rice, into Havertz once again, down by the corner flag. He centres the ball, looking for Wanyeri. It goes over his head, and then Joel Linton manages to clear. Alexander Isak fights for the ball, does well, but doesn't hold on to it. And Arsenal got it again, but still Isak just causing a bit of trouble, disrupting, trying to put Arsenal off their game. It goes back to Gabriel, and then infield, where it's with Zinchenko. Now White out wide towards the Arsenal right. Saka back into White again. Wanyeri's just trying to make a motion towards the edge of the box. Collected by Gabriel centrally. All the black and white jerseys of Newcastle are behind the ball here as they look to try and defend. It goes wide to Jesus, into Partey, nabbed by Tonali, pushed away. And the time ticks towards the 78th minute, and it's still 1-0 to Newcastle. Ball into the box, flicked away by the blonde hair of the diminutive Lewis Hall, but rather energetic Lewis Hall immediately goes out and chases that header. And then a poor pass by Ben White goes straight to Lewis Hall, and it's half cleared by Newcastle, given away by Tonali. One back by Havertz, played in by White, into Wanyeri. Good tackle by Longstaff. Newcastle have got it now. Isak, lovely little roll of the foot to take it away from Saliba. Tries to chop it out to the right side, but they're under pressure from Arsenal, who have just upped the intensity a little bit, Stuart.
Yeah, we're coming to that stage of the game where it's almost, I wouldn't say the last hurrah, because there's a good 15 minutes or so to go, I'm sure, with a bit of overtime, but Arsenal are starting to push and ask questions.
Saka down the right, across comes Guimaraes and just nabs it. Wins it. Remember, there's more live football for you tomorrow on TalkSport 2. We've got back-to-back games in the FA Cup and the Championship. And Monday night, Fulham-Brentford. Champions League action Tuesday night and Wednesday. Then Thursday night, it's Manchester United against and Tottenham in Europe, in the Europa League. So much football on TalkSport and the Talk Network. And what a network we have for you now. Andrew Neil, Jane Garvey, Fee Glover and John Pienaar, Stig Abel and Asma are on Breakfast at Times Radio. Mark Graham still going strong on Talk. Chris Evans, who I saw in the building yesterday on the record-breaking Virgin Breakfast. And of course Alan Brazil and Jeff Stelling on TalkSport Superstar Breakfast with a great Ali McCoy. Download the TalkSport app or the Talk app and you can listen to the lot. The on-demand access, brilliant by the way. You can miss something and then flick back, spool back rather easily and catch the show that you didn't hear first time around. Ball sent out towards the right side, looking for Bukayo Saka. It's too heavy, it goes out of play. It's out for a throw into Newcastle in the left full-back position, which no one is in too much of a hurry to take.
No, they're certainly not. Arsenal trying to up the tempo, Newcastle slowing it down. Both sets of coaches looks as though they made their substitutions, so they're just sitting back and keeping the fingers crossed.
Newcastle won this game 1-0 last year. Controversial goal involving Anthony Gordon. Maybe a push, maybe the ball was out of play. VAR checked all three angles of it and didn't decide to award an overturn. It stood, the result stood, and Arsenal were very aggrieved. They can't have too many complaints about the result this time around. They haven't created enough chances, and Newcastle have created certainly the best one, and they've taken it. And there was nothing wrong with the goal they scored after 13 minutes. But they have a set piece on this right-hand side. And Declan Rice standing over it. Saka is here too. It's right on the near touchline. It's about 10 yards outside the box. Everybody backloaded again on the edge of the penalty area. They time their run. The ball's whipped in. It's fended away by Lewis Hall. Wasn't a great delivery that by Declan Rice. Didn't have enough loft on it, and it was cleared away to halfway. Zinchenko now on the edge of the centre circle trying to get it forward. Saliba plays it into Zinchenko, who's immediately under pressure, and they've won the ball back on the edge of the centre circle here, and Gordon has escaped. He's got pressure from behind. He didn't notice that Gabriel was coming from behind, and Gabriel maybe got his tricks from that pickpocket that Arteta hired in the restaurant the other week and just took the ball off him.
Yeah, he should have done a lot better there. He really should, Gordon. He had the ball at his feet, and you've got to know there's recovery runners coming.
Zinchenko, left side of the centre circle. 81 minutes on the clock. Arsenal behind at Newcastle. Newcastle maybe heading into the top 10. They've got some big fixtures to come over the next few weeks. Forest away, West Ham at home, live on TalkSport. We'll be here for that one on a Monday night. Crystal Palace away, Liverpool at home in midweek in December. Arsenal go to Milan in midweek. Ranieri, tackled by Longstaff, edge of the box. It's pushed out as far as Gabriel joins the Arsenal attack. It's all Arsenal attacking at the moment. Jesus tries to get it in, and then it's just kicked clear by Gordon. There wasn't anybody upfield to hold on to the ball, and they're just dropping a little bit deep now, Newcastle, and that's worrying Eddie Howe. He's trying to get his team out, but Arsenal have all the possession. Is there a late goal for them? Partey forward to Ranieri, skips past Tonali, gets into a central position, loads it off into the path of Rice. Wide it goes to Zinchenko, crosses a deep one. Saka underneath it, away by Hall, but only as far as White, who's come round the back. He's down by the corner flag now. All the possession. White. Is there a late goal for them? To the far post. It's too heavy. Zinchenko keeps it alive, does well. Partey. Gabriel to Ranieri, skips past Tonali, gets into a central position, loads it away, but he can't. He's robbed by Longstaff. Rice, and now Gordon goes to travel forward. He plays it into Bruno Guimaraes, who wants a free kick, and eventually gets one. As far as White, who's come round the clumsy from Thomas Partey. By the corner of the track, all the possession. Is there a late goal for them?
Guimaraes is very clever. He received the ball. I think he only had one thing on his mind.
Skips past
Tonali. It's not a foul for me. He's gone to ground.
Rice,
initiated
and now Gordon
a bit of contact.
Forward. He plays it
he's done exactly what his team did.
He gets 2-1 up now against Fanzy, Thomas Partey in the Championship. All the possession. Is there a late goal for them?
Guimaraes is very clever. He received the ball. I think he only had one thing on his mind.
Skips past
He's gone to ground. It's not a foul for me. He's gone to ground. He's initiated a bit of contact.
Go in during our commentary of Bournemouth against Manchester City. And then we've got the Sunday session tomorrow, which Adrian's going to do from 1:30 at Manchester United versus Chelsea. Big day of FA Cup action, Scottish League Cup semi-final action as well. Interesting Scottish League Cup semi-final at 5:30 today, Celtic and Aberdeen. Be a lot of eyes on that, I think. Here is Zinchenko, out wide towards the left, collected by Gabriel Jesus. Where's the inspiration coming from for Arsenal? Where's the invention coming from, Stuart?
Well, I'm going to answer your question. I'm not sure. Normally you're expecting Saka to be that man or somebody else.
He provides a cross into the box. It goes past one defender, and then Jesus is robbed by Gordon. He ended up on his backside, but I think he was a bit theatrical there. And the ball is cleared by Gordon, bounces off Jesus. It's out for a throw-in.
Yeah, I would turn around and say inspiration, probably Saka. He would be the go-to man, but he's being marshalled very, very well on this side of the pitch. So I'm not really seeing a pass or anything, and Newcastle are quite happy with the way the game's going.
Another escape route is about to be unleashed, and that's going to be Harvey Barnes going out. Bounces off Jesus to the right hand side here.
I would turn around and say inspiration, probably
Gordon,
Saka. He would be the go-to man, but he's been
on that far side. Harvey Barnes is on for Newcastle United.
Yeah, he's done really well, Gordon. I think that cross, obviously, that assist has helped his team get their nose in front. Aside from that, what he's done going forward's been good. But what he's done defensively going backwards has probably been the thing that might get his team a result today.
Getting a standing ovation and a sing-song from the crowd behind the goal away to our right in the Gallagher. Now standing to applaud him. Signed a contract on the 22nd of October, a long-term contract at this club, Anthony Gordon. And we're heading up to 85 minutes now, and officially only one shot on target for Arsenal. I thought I saw one shot on target, and then there was another one from a set piece, a header from the set piece. Does that not count?
Well, I think there's a combination of a multitude of things that have played into that statistic. Mainly, and I've got to give credit to Newcastle, probably their midfield pack have worked tirelessly to get back and help the defenders out, and that's certainly played a big part in that.
Yeah, I think maybe that will go down as a blocked shot. Maybe it was heading towards the post, but yeah, Moreno had one off the line. But in the second half, there was a delivery to the far post where Trossard sent one towards the goal, and that was on target. It would look like it was on target. So one of them was not gone down as a shot on target statistically, but whether or not the statistics tell you the full story or not, it doesn't really matter. The fact is it's 1-0 to Newcastle, and Barnes on the attack sends the ball to the far post, and Joe Linton with a header at that far post is a powerful one, straight into David Raya. And all that matters is that big number 1 that's next to Newcastle's name on the scoreboard, and the big 0 next to Arsenal's, because Eddie Howe won't care what the situation is as long as the 3 points go his team's way. It's 1-0 to Newcastle. Barnes on the attack sends the ball to the far post, and Joe Linton with a header at that far post, a powerful one, straight into David Raya. It's still 1-0. And all that matters is that big home team. Number 1 that's next to Newcastle's name on the scoreboard.
Definitely the case.
Big 0 next to Arsenal's, because
on now,
Eddie Howe won't care
would have
what the situation is as long as the 3
in
points
their
go his team's way.
rallying
It's 1-0 to Newcastle. Barnes on the attack sends the ball to the far post, and Joe Linton with a header at that far post, a powerful one, straight into David Raya. It's still 1-0. And all that matters is that big team. Number 1 that's next to Newcastle's name on the scoreboard. Big 0 next to Arsenal's, because Eddie Howe won't care what the situation is as long as the 3 points go to Mikel Arteta. Ball turned over by Cher, who seems to have hurt himself as he won the ball back for Newcastle as we approach the 88th minute of the game. Jorginho, who's come on for Thomas Partey, and is going to get himself in trouble. A yellow card for a foul from behind on Bruno Guimaraes, and it's a yellow card.
I'm afraid that the referees have got to realise there, you know, Guimaraes has just run across the pitch. He's waiting for any form of contact whatsoever to throw himself on the floor to run the clock down. You might call it clever play. In all honesty, it's cheating, to be quite honest.
The dark arts, isn't it?
Is that what it's called?
I think it's the dark arts. Yeah. I think that's what we call it now.
And as you say, there's no need for it, I don't think. Listen, he's clever enough to keep the ball without initiating a foul and whatever.
Well, you know, the Newcastle fans will say, well, Arsenal did it against Manchester City.
That makes it all right then.
I wasn't endorsing it. I was just giving you the other side of the argument.
I'm just trying to help the referees out a little bit here.
Well,
you know what it's like.
I agree with you. Here is Hall up into the area and up and under, which is loose inside the Arsenal half, taken down by Joel Linton. He then tries to funnel that to Alexander Isak and almost reached him. Alexander Isak, who grew up in Sweden, spent time in Dortmund and then in Real Sociedad, but speak to him and he sounds like he was been living in London for the last 20 years. His English is unbelievable. Here is White.
Football's not that shabby either, judging by the goal he scored.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think a couple of weeks ago, I think we were saying we need a bit more from Alexander Isak. Hasn't shown up this season so far. Well, this week's been pretty good. 3 goals in a week and big goals as well. Chelsea away from home didn't quite get over the line in that match. They lost that match. A goal against Chelsea in midweek, which certainly helped them through to the quarter-finals of the League Cup, and now a big goal here, which is less than 60 seconds from winning the game for Newcastle United. Arsenal only dropped 25 points all last season. They're about to drop their 12th of the campaign, and it's only just November. Saka trying to stop that from happening. Trying to get at least 1 point for them. Into Ben White, inside the area, couldn't control it. Hall comes across, nabs it, clears it, and just about they get away with it.
I'll tell you what, Hall's done brilliantly there. He's fronted Saka up, his man he's dealing with, and then when the ball was laid inside, he recovered his position, tucked in, and just was quick enough to stop Ben White receiving a ball inside the box.
He's done enough, I think, to warrant a call-up to the England squad, especially with the games upcoming. I think the squad announcement, Deck will tell me if this is right or not, I think it's next Thursday. Here is Gabriel, 5 minutes of added time and the end of this second half, and the Arsenal fans now trying to roar their team forward. They've had a lot of the ball in the second half but haven't tested Nick Pope, but they only need to test him once to get a point here and maybe try and get themselves on level terms. There's still time for that. White up to Havertz. Title winners, title challengers, they always fight to the very end. Nwaneri trying to get it onto his left foot. He shifted it brilliantly onto his left foot but couldn't wrap his foot around it enough to get the shot on target. It goes wide of the goal and it's out for a goal kick away to our right.
Yeah, he done well, received it on that back right foot and just opened the goal up with his left, but just couldn't get enough curl on it to bring it back inside the post.
Manchester City and Liverpool will be licking their lips, reading their results, their phones, apps right now, and planning their assaults on Bournemouth and Brighton in an attempt to capitalise on this Arsenal slip, if that's what it's going to be. Well, I think whatever happens now, Stuart, it is going to be a slip, because even if Arsenal were to get one goal, that would still quantify as a misstep, really, with 2 more points dropped at this stage of the season. Tonali away. At the moment, they're dropping all 3. He's fouled. Free kick given. Declan Rice frustrated, shakes his head. Free kick to Newcastle, and they'll take an age over it. We're into the second of 5 added at the end of this game. A game which was really fast and fierce in the first half, but actually it's been a bit niggly and aggressive in the second half. Newcastle desperate to find any way possible to get over the line.
Yeah, they are. They look comfortable within the game, though, don't they? You know, sometimes you're 1-0 up and there's a crescendo of pressure from the opposition. We've not really seen that. They've had territory, but they've certainly not worked the goalkeeper anywhere near like they would like to have done.
Newcastle midfielders worked tirelessly, been brilliant. They've almost been a 5-man midfield as the game has gone on, with Joel Linton and Barnes tucking in to help out Tonali, Longstaff and Bruno Guimaraes, who's been terrific. And that back line needs some credit, don't it? If they emerge unscathed here. White forward, right side. It's another game without a clean sheet for Arsenal, which is going to end up meaning another game without a win for Arsenal. There's been too many of those in the early stage of the season. Gabriel forward, Jesus left side, back into Gabriel again. Gabriel steps forward, plays it to Nwaneri. Then it goes further wide to White, but they're not going anywhere, certainly not fast. Eventually they work it to Saka. On the right, trying to attack Lewis Hall. He gets it onto his left foot, delivers a delicious cross, and Declan Rice is there, and it just hits the outside of the post and goes behind. It was a brilliant cross from Saka, who got it for the first time on this right for quite some time. He's delivered an absolute peach of a cross with his left foot to the far post. Declan Rice got up, headed the ball down and missed the outside of the post by an inch. He should have hit the target, Stuart.
Well, it's been a tale of 2 crosses, and Declan Rice level with the far post. Hasn't even had to jump, he's had to stoop almost to get some purchase on it, and he's just took his eye off it, because I think it was Cher who's jumped before him and just missed it. I think as took his gaze off the ball, if anything. Poor miss.
Well, we've just seen a shot of Deck with his head in his hands. An ant at the top of the stadium, the Newcastle fan from Ant and Deck.
A very nervous looking one at this stage.
Very nervy, yeah. Lloyd Kelly about to come on for Bruno Guimaraes for the last few seconds of this game. We're into minute 4 of 5 that have been added on. Gabriel not happy, having a word with John Brooks. Guimaraes goes off, gives the captain's armband to Lewis Hall. And Bruno takes the applause. He comes off on this near side, and Lloyd Kelly comes on, and we'll go alongside Byrne at centre half here. I'm not entirely sure who took the captain's armband. I think it might be Dan Byrne actually who put it on. And there was a booking there, but I didn't quite see who that was for. Nick Pope, I think, for taking time over the goal kick. Yes, indeed, it's been confirmed. But that was the case. He's kicked it clear up over the halfway line. Don't forget that Odegaard, Calafiori, Tomiyasu all unavailable for Arsenal. There are mitigating factors for this run of form, but it isn't going to change the facts. This is the second defeat in the Premier League this season, and that might prove incredibly costly. And Newcastle will remind everybody that Botman, Lascelles, Wilson, Dubravka and Trippier are all injured as well, and Gordon and Isak only just came through unscathed to start the game. Here's Saka out on the right side into White. Arsenal haven't been good enough today. White with a cross towards the far post, punched by Pope, who came out brilliantly and managed to clear his lines. It works its way to the far side. We've played our 5 minutes of added time. It's cleared away by Barnes up to the halfway line. Raya's come right out to try and get the ball forward, but it's picked up by Zinchenko. The crowd want the whistle. They know they've played the 5 minutes of added time. Saka's got it right again. Cuts in onto his left foot. Another decent cross towards the far post, but Pope has picked it out. Grabbed it, pulled it into his chest, and now Joe Linton is trying to urge the St James's Park crowd to elevate the noise once again. The cameraman has got in Eddie Howe's way. They want the shot of him on the full-time whistle. He's told him to move because he wants to get his team out. He wants to issue instructions onto the pitch. These are crucial moments for Newcastle. They need to see them out. They're going to see them out, I think. He kicks the ball clear, Pope. It's headed back by Zinchenko. It's going to come back again. They want the full-time whistle, the crowd. It still isn't forthcoming. John Brooks continues playing. We've played nearly 6 minutes of added time at the end of the 90. It's in towards Havertz, who's committed a foul. Byrne goes down. It's going to be a free kick, and that surely is going to be that. There's a yellow card there for Havertz, but he still hasn't blown the full-time whistle. And as the game still continues, there's still a little bit of nervousness inside St James's Park. They know how big this is going to be for their season, going up into the top 8 momentarily of the Premier League. They know how damaging this is going to be for Arsenal. Eddie Howe goes over to the 4th official, Darren Bond. Jason Tyndall just behind him. His attack dog just making sure that the referee knows it's nearly over. It's over now. Newcastle led off the first fireworks of Bonfire Weekend, and you wonder if Arsenal's title challenge has gone up in smoke. Newcastle United hadn't won a Premier League game for 7 weeks before.